There's the new kayak company in town, and I have the owner, Josh Thomas, to come on and talk about the new Outpost pedal drive. So we got a new pedal drive kayak. In fact, he has a new fleet of kayaks. He's got the Outpost, the Terra, the Highlander, and a new pedal drive system. What is going through your mind when you have a blank slate and like, hey, I want to make a new pedal drive kayak, and this is your brainchild?
Right, that it is. So let's start off first of all with like different classes of kayaks, right?
Yep.
You've got your true offshore vessels, narrow long darts, 28 inches wide, 14 feet long, all the way up to your like really large scale, 14 foot, long, 40-inch wide vessels, your aircraft carriers of fishing kayaks. We're more in that battlefield stage. That's what I prefer. And I have the luxury of being a little bit selfish. I get to design boats that I want to use in particular. So like the really large boats, that's not my game. But you're like, a nice 500-pound weight capacity, but I keep my widths in the like 34 to 36 inch range. This particular boat is coming in at 35 inches for the Outpost 128. You'll see I still have a tapered off tail on the back end. I'm not doing the true like box tail, just because like, it holds more cargo. Sure, when you do a box tail, but I like the performance. Like I have places to go. I don't really hang out close to the boat ramp. I'm going 2-3 miles offshore. I'm hitting big bays, big open water. And I just want a boat that can carry my stuff, hold the gear I need, and it's efficient when it's traveling. So that's just, that's a pretty good starting point on just the overall shape.
Yeah.
And then what I want in my boats, at least, I'm not exactly the bring everything in the kitchen sink guy. I'm pretty efficient on what I bring, but I do a wide variety of fishing, right? Like I'll hit North Florida and do the flats, chasing tailing reds and specks. I'll, go offshore chasing kings and wahoo and, big reservoirs for stripers or for, largemouth or any kind of green bass really. So like, I need to be able to reconfigure my boats based on what I'm doing. Right. Mm-hmm. So I want to make boats that are very modular. That's easy for me to like switch the layup of it. So like one big thing is we have like 10 different rod locations where you can store rods or mount rods like on the boat. Right. So like when I'm going offshore, I usually take, around 3 or 4 rods. I've got a sabiki rig for pulling up, for jigging up bait. Mm-hmm. I'll usually have a free line, a down line, and a top water lure in case, a school of mahi starts blowing up next to me or something. And we all know that risk, or anybody who does offshore fishing knows, doesn't matter how good you are, how many times you've done it, there's always a risk of rolling in the surf, right? Like it's absolutely always a possibility. So having like a true secure place on the gunnels to store my rods so I can survive a roll instead of having sticking up in the flush mounts. That's a real important thing for me. Like if you know my boats, you've seen me do that before. So I kept that same concept, except this time I made it more bait caster friendly. Previously when I did it, it really only worked well with like spinning reels. Like the bait caster trigger didn't really fit well. So that's been taken care of. And then like
so walk me through in this photo. Walk me through in this photo here. Where does that?
So let me pull it up on my screen too, so I can point it out a little bit easier for you. And we can go through the images down below. My machine's going a little bit slow. So if you look at, you see the stripes like on that flank the seats. You see a black strip just in front of the cup holder. All right, so those are those are rubber latches that'll latch over the over the handle area, like just above the handle. Really, you'd have your reel like right in front of it. And then the front of the boat, you'll see some pretty sturdy rod tip protectors. Now those also help keep the rod in place. Your rod tip will slide underneath adjacent of it. And we've definitely seen kayaks before that have like have some sort of horizontal storage. Usually they'll put tubes up there. Personally, I don't like having the tubes because like if I'm fishing a topwater lure and I want it ready to grab quickly, like I don't want to have to like have it down here and like have to like have my lure secure and then pull it out and then crank up and then cast. I want to be able to pick up and just shoot my shot. So this allows me to like keep my rod tips inside the perimeter of the boat, but also be able to free the rod quickly and be able to cast right away.
Okay, I like it. All right, keep going.
And then let's see. So if you scroll back to the flush mounts,
there we go.
There's good old fashioned flush mounts. And I get it. We all have like our own preference on rod storage, whether we're putting it in a Yak Attack black pack or a crossbar with Omega rod holders on it or whatever. I like to still include flush mounts in a boat just because honestly it's very cost effective. Like pretty much any dead space I have in the hull, like I'm going to try and fill that space with something usable that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when I see like a big naked gunnel on a kayak, I'm like, we could do something with that. It's just kind of sitting there. So for me, like I turn my flush mounts in so they're staying perfectly vertical. Anytime you've been in a kayak that has like built-in flush mounts and they're sticking out, flared out, and you paddle up next to a buddy of yours, oh hey, look at that!
Oh, there you go. Some glitter action going on.
That's some sparkle dust.
I love it.
Yeah, so I keep my my flush mounts straight parallel with the boat. So when you're up against somebody else who's got flush mounts, you're not getting that rod tingling, that clacking. That's really sucks when you pull up next to somebody else and you like roll off with their rod because it's hanging from your rod and your flush mount.
I've done it.
We've all done that, right? And then the two flush mounts that are further back, they're actually angled back a bit further. Anybody who's like run rivers or running close to shore, fishing limbs or anywhere along the bank or going underneath a low bridge or something, it's like when you same thing, you're going down a river and all of a sudden your rod's like hanging from a tree back there.
Yeah.
So sometimes like, I would say the gunnel storage, the gunnel stagers, they're not the quickest to deploy. Obviously, a flush mount's going to be easier to like reach out and grab and like unlatch your stored horizontally staged rod. So those two flush mounts in the back allow you to store them at a lower angle to scoot underneath trees or bridges a little bit easier than you can when they're sticking straight up.
Yeah.
So those are the initial 8, and then we. Not in this shot, but you've probably seen with our traverse drive, simple things. And I'm talking about like no wasted space. Like we've all been in, prop based drives before. That picture right there, right? So like, we carved in a notch right there in front of you, so you can actually have your, your casting rod, the one that you're like shooting with, right there in front of you at all times. So, usually when you're in a pedal drive kayak and you have to move locations, and if you need to do something, you gotta put your rod in a rod holder and put it off to the side. This gives you a nice place to put it right in front of you while you're still moving.
I've tried putting it on my pedal drive before, and it always falls over into my pedal.
High risk territory.
I have to go like out. If I'm going under a bridge, I got to like stick it like 4 on each side down below, and I have to use my motor because you can't do it when the struggle is real. So I like it.
Exactly. So basically, like with this go around, I'm chipping it away at all the things, like 10 years making kayaks, chipping away at the things that like still drive me nuts. Yeah. Like that's pretty much all these boats are.
Decade of feedback is going into this boat, essentially what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's not just my feedback. We actually had a private think tank group with about 600 kayak anglers in it over the last couple of years that have been giving feedback. We've been sharing the progress with it and what we've been doing with it. And like, hey, so some of the angles and some of the things that are happening on here, they have some great ideas. They were incorporated. And so this is, when we say like designed by kayak anglers for kayak anglers, we're not just talking about like me, it's just a whole team of people, a whole community of people that have been chiming in on these.
Right. And so we're looking right now at the 12-foot 8 kayak. I mean, we were talking.
That's correct.
Now I'm looking at the 10-foot. Now, obviously, you don't get 4 flush mounts in the back because it's not as long, right? So you get 2.
Yeah.
And I don't see anywhere for the horizontal storage.
Yeah. So on the 10-foot, you're just out of space, right? Like we could put in horizontal stagers here, but to me, it kind of defeats the purpose that the tips are hanging out, in front of the nose, because like, you run into a bridge or a piling or a log or, heck, you're just dragging it down the boat ramp and you grab the railing of the boat ramp. I want to make sure my rod tips are inside the hull on my horizontal rod stagers. So the 100 is stripped down from the 128 with the things that are taking up the most space. Like you lose the that really generous large electronics console that you have in the 128. You lose one set of the flush mount rod holders and the horizontal rod stagers that you just mentioned.
Yeah,
for the most part, I think everything else is pretty much there.
So this is going to be the same power port, right? So you're looking up here.
Yep, you still get 3 access plates. Those are heavy duty fiberglass reinforced nylon. Definitely a step up from ones I made in the past. These ones you can definitely hammer away at them, drill them. They're good to go. We've got you also lose the bow motor mount. Ran out of space for that to cram in there. So the Outpost 128 and the Terra both fit a bow motor mount built in using the micro anchor power pole mount.
Yep.
So there's a plethora of accessories and third-party options that fit that, of course. And actually, in the stern, both of these boats, all 6 of mine, even the inflatables, All three of them feature 3 sets of micro anchor power pole mounting locations on the stern. So you can go, left, right, power pole. My new rudder system that is talking about years of painstaking rudder work. Our new rudder system mounts to that same mount as well. So for the guys that are like true motorized guys, don't need the rudder at all, you can pull that off. You can, mount a, micro anchor power pole dead center. You can your motor in the dead center on the back or on the bow. It just gives you a lot more options for rigging.
All right. So speaking of rigging, we're at the bottom of this page over here. Now, this is obviously just fully rigged. Everything you could possibly put on it.
Yeah. So I tell people, like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. All right. We're just showing the options here. Okay.
But you can. You strip it if you want. So let's walk through it. I'm gonna go from picture to picture, and I want you to walk me through kind of the thought process in it. You just kind of talked about this a moment ago. This is gonna be your. Yep. Go ahead.
Exactly. Micro anchor power pole mount up front there. You can mount the, like a Minn Kota quick release plate or a third party quick release plate. Stick whatever motor you want, on the bow. Good to go. You have your wiring plate right there. You have 3 wiring plates. One on the bow, just behind the, just after the motor. One just behind the seat on the rear tank well. That way, cables running behind you. And then you have one on the stern for rigging purposes, of course, to get, running lights or running your power pole on the back. Then you got your
paddle park.
You got your paddle park. That's a Velcro paddle park. So another thing that always annoyed me was you have all this great deck space when it's on your trailer, but where exactly do you put your rods? You still end up having to put your rods, like bungee them on. So this is actually a Velcro paddle park, so you can pull it up, put your rod tips in there, put your rods underneath the seat, and get to go. I did the other day. I was using the Highlander 120, and I had 12 rods mounted on the Highlander 120 while we were driving down the road.
Oh wow! So it's Highlander 120 because it's still relatively new. These are the inflatable line.
Oh, that's the inflatable. Yeah.
We'll get to in another video. We're gonna do another video on that, and so it'll probably be recommended at the end of this one. But let's keep on rolling along. Get your hatch. It looks like this is removable, so you can get down into the hull. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you put little lip handles on it. Thank you. My gosh. Every time I try to get mine up, I have to scratch along the side to try to get some friction to get it up and out. So thank you for that.
You're kicking the bottom of it. You're trying to, jam that nose, get it to pop up a little bit, running a credit card on it. It's not like locking your keys in your house or something. You don't have to run a credit card to get your hatch liner out.
Yeah, and that's where I throw a lot of my extra wires as well. And so it's nice that wires probably could come up under that if you needed them to. Anyway.
Yeah, so you can actually see here, this picture, we don't talk about it. Just there's so many features. Like I know it's terrible. Like I should do a master list, but I've done this before where you have here's the 372, bullet points on this, but nobody reads them. They still ask you the questions. So I'm doing my best to visually tell the story here, but there's too many things that I really call out. So, but if you look here in this shot, at the back of that removable liner, you can see there's a wire guide there, so you can actually run wires into the front hatch without crimping them. Right, it's going to come over that ledge. We have an automotive gasket on the top, an automotive compression gasket, so it'll press on top of those wires. And if you don't have the wires, it's still making a solid seal on the ledge around the hatch liner.
I like it. All right, let's move on.
Now, one question, and I'll go ahead and a little bit of a neg that I've been asked if you can put rods in the front. You can, but it's very difficult because we have this giant removable electronics console. So you have to kind of bend the rod off to the side. So it's not like the boats that have the big long hatch. I made the choice of sacrificing the big long hatch to give me a removable electronics console that does what I want. I figured, I need my rods in my boat. I'll come up with a way to store them on top of the boat, and I'm good to go with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a huge negative. I mean, I know very, very, very few people who are like, oh yeah, I want to shove a bunch of rods down the hull of my kayak. There's a lot easier ways to store rods in your vehicles and rod tubes versus having to crank those things. I've never seen one yet where it's easy to get your rod the length of your kayak without really cranking on that.
Yeah, exactly. You're putting a lot of stress. Exactly. And the worst, I definitely remember my newbie offshore days where I thought I'll keep my rod safe by putting them in the hull and I'll paddle 3 miles offshore and then I'll go yank those things out. Yeah, good luck, man.
Yeah, good luck. You have to get out of your kayak in the water.
That is a challenge sometimes.
No, good sacrificial lamb there. All right, moving on. What do we got here? This is fun. You got a kind of a command center module designed, and it's 4-way. Walk us through, because this is what do you call these? They're called something.
So those are the quad rails.
There you go, quad rails.
The industry has seen these before. Seen quad rails used. What we did a little bit different is, first of all, this is our own custom extrusion. Like we built everything from the ground up. Yes, you can get these kind of rails like stock and bulk and chop them up yourself and DIY some like PVC stands or whatever. But so we have a custom extrusion. Some of our rails have bends to go along like to comfortably fit like the length of the boat. Like the 44-inch rail is bent to like kind of follow the contour of most kayaks a little bit better.
Okay.
We laser etched rulers, measuring devices on here. Obviously it's not tournament approved, but it gives you a quick legality spot check if you need to.
Yeah. I mean, I got slot
We have
limits on some of the
exactly.
fisheries that I have. So real quick, first I'd have to turn around, get my catch board, pull it down. Just a real quick check would be nice. I hear you.
Exactly. So it's not in the picture. The pictures only show the measuring device on one side, but I made the decision today actually to go ahead and laser etch both sides of the quad rails. So depending on your configuration, you have it on the outside of your boat and the inside.
Okay.
They are we keyed in. We knocked in key slots,
Yep.
so you can drop in your T bolts.
Without having to take
And
the
then
hands
what
off.
we did is yep. So then what we did with our base mount is, we want to make sure these are not just compatible with our boats, but compatible with a wide range of boats. So you can see that our base mounts, like they're hard bolted onto the rail and hard bolted onto onto any kind of gear track.
Okay.
We also include backing plates with them. So if you're doing a through haul installation. And for us, like we didn't really care about having them removable because I want these like rock solid, no wobble, use them as handrails, carry your device, carry your electronics console from it. So like they're part of the boat when you install it like this. It's not going anywhere.
I like it. And you got your through haul mounts for all the wires.
Oh yeah.
Off your electronics.
So yeah, we're on the quad rails there. Our electronics console, it's big enough for most 30 amp hour batteries. I have come across some oddball like 40 amp hour shapes. So like depending on your brand battery, you can fit a pretty good amount in there. This I'll be blunt here on this. The shot like that battery was too short, so like we actually put something underneath it to like kind of fill this void a little bit. So that's it's definitely pretty deep in there. And then I wanted a true like no drilling, a true waterproof, watertight electronics box. What I don't like is when you spend all this money on a brand new fishing kayak and then you got to drill holes into this waterproof electronics box and then silicone it and waterproof it. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like you have a waterproof box and you have to temporarily make it not waterproof and then reseal it. So
there you go.
Yeah. So we built a through hole wiring kit. We came up with like our own triangular pattern that lets us like kind of cram more into a tight space. So this comes with one pre-mounted on the top. The bottom of the boat has brass inserts for mounting on your lower end, so your Humminbird or Garmin transducer.
Okay.
Run it straight up to the top and done. Same automobile gasket as the front. That thing is watertight. And like I've done electronics consoles in the past, and we had some issues where like there's still some play in it. Like you get a heavy screen on it, and like it moves the rubber, like the latches.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time making sure this guy has like zero wobble. He is like locked in there, good to go.
Oh yeah, this thing's a beast. It's like this is the rubber that you see in like the Yeti coolers. They're really like
exactly,
or those Arctic coolers or whatever kind of brands.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I like it. Let's keep on moving along.
Also, tucked away in there was a little bit of a little Easter egg on that last one. I don't think I had a. Oh. We include a stand-up assist strap. We've got stainless steel.
There it is.
Yeah, we got stainless steel pad eyes on the front there. Figured that was a great spot because it's beyond the length of foot braces if you're requiring foot braces, and flanks the electronics pod. So it's a nice place to tuck that in there. And that's they're stainless steel brass inserted D rings. So or pad eyes. So you're definitely locked in there, and it comes with the stand-up assist strap.
Okay, I like it. Comes with. Yeah, we'll get to that. And I got a question. I got a bunch of frequently asked questions at the end for you as well. So, all right, let's keep on rolling.
Yeah, we got some foot braces. So this one, we if you know my work in the past, I'm a fan of having foot braces that lock in that can also be converted to free sliding foot braces for rudder control. So this one, we spent a lot of time making sure that they actually like flow freely, like. And I'll have videos like later in the, probably in the next couple of weeks. I'm so busy and it's really hard for us to like, kind of keep up with some of the content. But if you were to take this nylon rail off the side of the boat and put the foot brace in free flow mode or in free slide mode and turn it
Yep.
on its end, it's just going to slide right off. I mean, there's no friction. It just slides right off. You can like one finger just like flick
nice.
it and it shoots all the way to the end. So for me, like I've done toe controlled rudders in the past, and like they're compact. It's nice because you have a little bit less cable running, but honestly, it's just a workout. It works your calves a lot more. If you're using a pressure foot control rudder system, you just have to lean a little bit on one side, and you can get responsiveness out of your rudder. Toe control, you're just constantly working your calf and your ankles, and it's just long trips where you have a lot of tough conditions. It just really wears on you.
All right. All right, we're looking at here. Got the behind the under the seat. All right. I was like, wait a second. Give me 1 second here.
Yeah. So this is a under the seat storage bin, under the seat storage. It's like
got it under the seat. I like it.
Yeah, so this is storage under the storage. Now, practically speaking, you're probably not going to get to this on the water. You can see the crossbars on the seat support structure. So depending on your seat position, you might have to like adjust your seat in order to open it. This is really for haul access and for emergency equipment. If you need a first aid kit or flares or something, or that like that backup to a backup of your favorite lure or whatever. But really, it's for interior haul access when wiring and rigging up.
Okay, right on. I like it. We talked about this. We'll get to the Traverse Drive. Actually, I think I'm going to do a separate video on the Traverse Drive because this is the new pedal drive to the market. I'm a lover of a pedal drive, but we've had conversations about your pedal drive specifically, and I want to give more time to it. But at a high level, walk us through this new pedal drive and the thought process. Don't peel back the onion. We'll get to that in another video, but just share like high level what we got going on here.
All right, high level 10-to-1 gear ratio. We have a prop lock.
Now you mentioned but why'd you mention 10-to-1 gear ratio? Is that abnormal for the market?
It's pretty normal, but there are some that are under. It's a little bit more torque, but I like it. It's it's just efficient. It's a good power to energy ratio.
Okay, keep going.
So high level, it's removable. It's very easily removable. It has two ginormous stainless steel cotter pins. This time I went with a mounting collar. In the past, I've done a pod system.
Yep.
But the problem with the pod system, what I've learned is that we have a rotational molded pod inside of a rotational molded hull. Those are just two objects that are designed. They're hollow objects that will always have some kind of give. Mm-hmm. So after enough time, like that play that I was getting in rotational molded pods just kind of like it just kind of gnawed at me a bit. So this go round, reality is most people aren't like switching between a fin drive and a prop drive like that quickly. So this is a heavy duty fiberglass reinforced nylon mounting collar that's bolted onto the boat. Okay. And then there's a rotomolded pod, like a plug that goes in its place. So if you're hitting the river and you don't need to drive, you can drop in the rotomolded plug. It goes flush with the bottom of the boat. So you don't have to worry about, shoals or, lay downs, like grabbing a hold of it. There's two pins on the front. You just pull the two pins out, turn that giant yellow locking latch in the front, and the whole thing just pops right out. Okay.
Now, durability on this thing. I mean, that's what everyone looks at that's what I look at when it comes to pedal drives. You got some things are almost made entirely of plastic. You got others that are made of cast aluminum. This is partly stamped aluminum. Walk me through.
So this is actually all. So ours is a stamped aluminum and extruded aluminum and fiberglass reinforced nylon plastic casings. So it kind of runs all of it. And there's a cast aluminum as well. So a lot of the pictures and what you're seeing is our nylon version, our fiberglass reinforced nylon. We've ran it through cycle testing. We've gone close to 3 million cycles on it. Yeah, we're over 3 million at this point. I found like in an extreme, like 1 out of a million, like you're moving at 7 miles an hour and you have to make an instant stop. Like, and you can't even pedal 7 miles an hour. Yeah. That being said, there are scenarios where you get the right backwind on the right outgoing tide or something. You're going out, of a creek or something. Like you can be moving pretty fast and you have to make a hard reverse. That puts a large load on the drive. And it's possible, like we're talking like literally like 1 out of 1 out of a 500,000 is about where this fail point hit. Is we would get like a micro expansion in that plastic case, and it would cause a gear slippage. So punted on that like a month ago, and we switched to a custom stamped aluminum casing. So now it's a heavy duty, multiple tonnage head unit on this guy, and that absolutely fixed that heavy load issue, that like 1 in a million or 1.5 million heavy load issue. So the reason.
Why stamped over cast? Because it's my understanding stamp's a lot more expensive than cast. So why'd you go that route?
That's true. It's a lot more expensive. Okay, so I'm a bit of an ounce counter when I'm out on the water. I pay very close attention to which gear I'm taking with on which particular trip. You have like drives, as light as like 8 pounds that are like all plastic. Most of your fin drives land in that like 8 pound range. Yep. There are a few prop drives that are in that like 8-9 pound range, all the way up to your, the heavy duty cast aluminum that the big boys tend to use, at the brands that we know and love. The problem is those things are 25 pounds, right? So for me, like there had to been a middle ground. There has to be a middle ground somewhere between like an 8 pound. Like I don't want like a plastic Jankers, drive that has like plastic gears that just grinds and like makes noise and, like wobbles. Like I want a solid drive, but I also don't want 25 pounds. So what we found is a good way of like bridging the two was, look, let's just spend the money on stamped aluminum molds. We use an extruded aluminum casing, and we'll drop in some lighter weight plastic components, the fiberglass reinforced nylon, like latches and stuff. So we're able to get this drive in at around it's around 13 pounds. It's like it's like just under 13 pounds is where we're at. So not the ultra light like plastic ones. So you get the performance of the cast aluminum without the weight of the cast aluminum.
Got it. So how often would something like this need to be like worked on? Because it's important to me to be able to work on my pedal drives. I've done it with the Propel series. It's easy to take apart, easy to grease, easy to put together. I have another one from BKK that just came in, and there's 21 different Allen screws I need to take apart. It's like that as far as
that is a lot.
Sucks. So you need to grease these things. Is there through ports? What was going through your mind when it comes to the serviceability of these things?
Yeah, so a couple of things on the serviceability of it. You asked specifically like how often. Like I can't tell you how often. It's going to depend on how often you use your boat, right?
But, you can go by hours, right? Of actual use.
Yeah. So actually, I don't have that number off the top of my head. That's a good question. Yeah.
Sorry, I lost you for a second.
No, I said that's a good question. Actually, I don't have that number off the top of my head with the service hours or the recommended service hours are, but we'll have that one. I mean, we have the data. I just don't. Yeah, I'll have to pull that one. Good question.
No, that's all good.
As far as servicing it, though, we do have a quick access lubrication port on the top. It's an Allen head that unscrews, so you can get in there that way. We have one on the bottom on the lower unit as well. If you need to truly crack the case open, the top is, I should know this pop quiz. I'm gonna fail my own product. I believe it's 5, maybe 6 bolts on the top, and it should be around 6 bolts on the bottom.
Got it.
The reason I'm not entirely certain is because we just switched that cast aluminum like a few weeks ago, or not cast aluminum, sorry, the stamped aluminum, and that one might have one more. I can't quite remember.
Yeah, no problem. All right, great. Well, we'll take a deeper dive in another video on the Traverse Drive, but that was pretty good. Let's keep moving along. This is the Outpost. We're looking at the 12.8 or 128.
Yep.
And so now we're looking at the seats, and you have a lot going on with your seats. There was a lot of design, a lot of thought process that went with the seats, under the seat, under the seat storage. I mean, you didn't stop.
Seat. Yeah. Like, you know what happened was, we see those AI memes of fishing kayaks with like all the junk on it. I'm like, you know what? That's a good idea. We should get her done.
There we go.
That being said, we started working on the seat before the AI thing really hit. So it's like you spent 2 years on it, and then the AI spits it out in 2 minutes. You're like, dang it. Anyway,
you have 3 different seats across your entire line of fishing kayaks, right? So which one?
Only two. Only two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what?
This
is your top of the line?
rigids have the rigids here have the Horizon seat, the Horizon Pro seat. Mm-hmm. So this seat is. Let's see, there's 8 positions. There's a level high position, and there's a recumbent low position. And the reason I only went with a recumbent low is because, look, if you need to sit in a lower position, it's all about your center of gravity. All you got to do is get your weight pushing down towards the center of the boat to get that stability that you need and the condition that you need for that low position. So being in a recumbent low also keeps your legs kicked up for engaging the foot pedal drive. So this would be the high position right here in that particular shot. And so from there, so you have a recumbent low and a high, and then each of those has 4 positions to adjust your recumbency, if that's even a word. Maybe I just made up recumbency.
We'll go for it.
It's not a word.
Yeah.
Yeah, but your recumbent positions. So it's a spring-loaded system. You pull on the front. You got to give it a little bit of your weight when you're pulling on it, because we don't want you to accidentally fall out of it. And it's keyed in, so like you pull forward, and then it'll spring out. You pick your notch, drops back in, and then drops down and locks into position.
Got it.
And then you've got the armrests, of course, because look, I'll just be honest. I'm getting old, and like I get exhausted. I'm on the wall. I just want the armrest, dude. Come on, man. Like, especially when the bike's slow. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just sitting here like this all day. And then having the gear tracks on the side of the armrest. We played around with a couple of different configurations of it. Originally, we had them running horizontal, like with the rail.
Yeah.
And I found that just got in the way. Like, having that, being forced to have the handrail that high. And depending on if I was putting like a rod holder or some kind of tool holders in the way. So switched it to a vertical mount. And that just gave me a lot more, again, it's about me. It gave me a lot more, got me what I wanted in my rigging.
Got it.
So our steering handle, I'm jumping off the steering handle here real quick, but it's you can see pretty clearly here that large yellow locking mechanism. As the base, we have separate. You can buy separate bases and put them wherever you want. So if you need one like on the left side and the right side, you want one up on the perch, because that's one thing that like I always hated was when I got up on the perch and like my steering handle's like way down here. So now I can just like quick disconnect it, move it up to the perch, and yeah,
got it.
Just yeah. So the gear
I've only
tracks
seen
on
the perch on one other kayak, and it was an inflatable. And so why the perch?
Wait. You saw a perch on an inflatable? I mean, I like to wave the banner on inventing the kayak seat perch.
Well,
I did the perch.
I thought on the Wilderness Systems IATAK, it has something that looks like this.
Yeah, so I did the perch back in, I don't remember when I first did a perch. It would have been like 2017, 18, 2018 timeframe. Yeah, and then Pelican ended up doing the perch on one of their boats, and then Pelican owns Confluence, so of course you might see the perch across some other product lines. Yep, so that makes total sense. I haven't seen it on that boat, but cool. So this go around though
this past week, so it's
yeah. So right. So for me in the perch, some people don't quite completely understand the concept of the perch. They see the people like doing the sight casting, standing on top of it, doing that bonefish or tarpon sight fishing. Look, if you can stand on it, great. I can stand on it. I probably stand on it like 1 out of 1,000 trips, to be honest. Like it's not really for me. It's not for standing. It's for sitting. I mean, look how much higher you're getting off your seat base there, right? Like that's lifting you up another 8 inches off the seat base, and that just drastically changes your side cast. Even that little bit of a vantage point helps with your sight fishing game, and it takes a load off your back. What it's like being in a pedal kayak or any kayak for hours on end. Anytime you can reposition your back goes a long way. So for me, it's just a perch. People think of it as a standing perch, but it's a perch that you can stand on it if you want. Again, I think the mantra here is like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. You can't stand on it doesn't necessarily mean you should.
I will testify.
That's it.
Being able to sit up after sitting in a seat and be able to like stretch your back in that way, it is a whole lot more comfortable to have that option available to you, especially for those long days on the water. So I will say, everyone might be looking at to be like, oh, I would never use that. You'd be surprised how often you sit on that if you had it. So
yeah. And so this go around, my perches have a 350-pound weight capacity. They're also a quick disconnect. So there's a latch. Yeah, there's a latch on each post, so it comes off. The legs will fold up flat underneath the perch itself. So you can use it as a little, campfire table or a step stool if you needed to. I mean, for a step stool though, you're only getting up like about 4 inches, but if that 4 inches helps, it helps.
Yeah.
And it's got gear tracks on all four sides, because the other thing that kind of annoyed me was, you know, the few times, I just said went up 1,000 times I stand on it, but the times I do, I get all the way up there, and it's like, oh, I need that rod down over there or whatever. So now I have a place to like store my rods and my gear, like while I'm up there, like the tools that I need while I'm in perch position.
Look at that. A lot of thought going into this. I like it. It's back on out. Let's keep on moving along. Let me head back over here to the.
Yeah, it's a lot.
No, it's you guys have a lot going into your boat here. Let me see what I got. Where did I find all those?
Oh, you can see, but I see right here in that shot you had the horizontal rod stager.
Oh yeah,
from earlier.
Well, I don't know how to get back there. But let's go. Let's talk a little bit. I love under the seat storage. What are we looking at here?
Oh yeah. So this is an underseat drop box, bin, junk drawer. They've certainly been done before. It has the PVC pouch on top with the a zipper pouch, so you can have your soft plastics. They're a little bit deeper and bigger than the drawers I've made in the past. And I've done boats before where like the drawers are like mounted underneath, and like I don't know, just after a while you realize they can only come out so far. You still have stuff like further back, and we've all had that one like rat red or kicker bass that like threw the hook and is like flopping underneath the seat, and you can't get the drawer out to get back there. So I made sure it's completely removable. Pull it out, put it on your lap.
Great. So this is bungee.
Grab
in
two.
right here.
Yeah, it's just bungee in the front. Now on the back of it, there's a stair step. What it is like there's a ledge on the back, and the ledge like locks underneath a locking bar, right? So there's no pictures of it, but yeah. So there's a ledge that locks underneath the bar, and the bungee's holding on the front, and now it can't go anywhere.
All right,
simple. It's a lot easier than the drawer slides that I've done in the past.
And you got it notched out here for rod butts.
Yep, exactly. Now, those might get in the way of foot pedals, depending on your situation. You can go from there to the traverse drive rod stager, but depending on your maybe you're a motor guy or something, and you have all the room in the world on your deck.
All right. Looks you got some storage for your tackle on the side of your seat. What size are these?
3600.
Got it. So it'll fit 3600. Is this on both sides of the kayak?
Yep. Again, I'm an ounce counter, so I don't always need to bring my black pack or my creative stuff.
Yeah.
If I can dig what I need in 4 tackle boxes, like honestly, like it's very rare that I need more than 4 tackle boxes. I mean, I have to be doing like some crazy like species jumping, game.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I have a black pack. It fits mostly my battery and my lunch and my water. Sorry, my rain jacket. And so I don't get a lot of stuff back there. So the night before, I'm always like just condensing it into just a few, because I'm like you. I don't need a billion things that I never use. All right, now
I'm the same way. Like my black pack is for camping equipment, and the tackle I need is just right here at my at my saddle side.
I like it. So for the Outpost 128 PDL Pro, what size black pack with the tether tubes does it fit?
13 by 16.
Okay, so it won't fit the 16 by 16.
Right.
It will fit the 13
like
by
I said
16.
before, exactly. So I went with a tapered off tail for efficiency moving.
Yep.
I didn't want to do the full, box back, to fit that 16 by 16. I was more about going places and how much more stuff we can haul on this thing.
Yeah, 100%. And you talked about some of the other, anything else you see here, you're like, oh yeah, I didn't talk about that. I want to.
Yeah, I guess I don't think we hit on the anchor chutes. You've got, port and starboard anchor chutes, pre-plumbed. Everything on this boat's pre-plumbed, by the way. You don't have to run tubes. So these are plumbed to the cockpit area, so you can drop on an anchor wizard or the new Yak Attack. What do they call it? The anchor drop, anchor.
The drop
anchor.
shot.
You know what I'm talking about? The drop shot, something like that. Yeah, which looks totally wicked. Can't wait to get my hands on it and try that one. So you can mount that onto a quad rail or on one of the front tracks, and run an anchor chute, run a grapple anchor or a drift chain.
And this last photo here is just adding another photo. Is there something in here that you're trying to highlight?
Just because, I believe, kayaks should have cup holders, man. I shouldn't have to pay for a cup holder.
I've had conversations with individuals that absolutely hate cup holders. Then I talk to people like you're like, yeah, they need one. I'm putting one in. And whether it's a cup holder or it's a bait graveyard, it doesn't matter. Something that holds something.
Yeah, like I don't understand. Like, you have so much deck space. They're free. They're literally free to add to a kayak. Like, literally just mold it in.
Yeah.
So if you hate cup holders, maybe you just don't like hydration. I don't know, man. But at least you have a place to, drop a, whatever lure you just cut off.
I don't hear you. The bait graveyard. All right, so let's walk through
Exactly.
some specs of what we're looking at here. You get length, of course. If you're new to kayak fishing, it's titled the 128 PDL because that is the length, 12 foot 8 inches. Width 35, height the gunnels 15 inches. Was there any thought process? You don't want these to be super high catching wind.
Yeah, that's a good point. So now, people who know my boats in the past, it's a very similar hull shape. I go for low wind profile personally. I come from boats that are like long, skinny darts. I go miles offshore. I'm used to getting a face full of a wave. I'm used to like rolling through chop and through swells. So for me, getting wet is not that big of a deal. What's important to me is how fast my water can, how fast my boat can drain the water. Yeah. So it's all about having, water runoff guides in the boat. Really paying attention to that watershed. Like, you're going to eat water. I want to make sure that water gets out fast. And making sure that I have a high enough weight capacity and a high enough deck that there's enough clearance in those scuppers, and the scuppers aren't just riding the deck line. So my boat's like, so now this one, we changed to a more bulbous front, a more bulbous nose. The yellow shots, there's a picture of it somewhere. Okay. So it does ride over swells better. That 15 inches is taller than what I've done in the past. And it does have a higher gunnel on the bridge or on the nose of the boat than it did in the past. So it's drier, it sheds water better, it's more maneuverable. But you're still going to have a lower gunnel on the side. So if you're the kind of person who feels a little uneasy about that, then there's definitely boats that have like really tall, really deep cockpits. For me, I'm indifferent because I'm in a small plastic boat out in the water. I don't care if I get wet. What I care about is like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. I just spent hours to get to this spot and I don't want the wind blowing me all over the place. So sure. I go with a low profile hull shape just to like kind of reduce some of that wind push that I get out there. Especially when you get on some of those like big Florida flats, like that's there's no escape.
Yeah, I was just on Lake Erie and man, I was getting blown around. It was
so
I need to go inland just a little bit. And I actually ran the river just because it was such a pain in the butt catching all that wind and being pushed. All right. Other things we got here is everyone's always curious weight capacity. So you're looking at 500 pounds. How do you determine your weight capacity?
Yes,
at Camino Journey?
That is a great question because you'll hear different versions from different manufacturers. What I'm publishing is the true usable weight, which you hear a lot of times is like, a lot of boats that weight capacity includes the weight of the boat in it. Mm-hmm. So you would have, and it's ambiguous with every brand and every boat maker, but our weight capacity that we publish is actually the usable weight capacity. If you want to know what the
higher is what you're saying, you could have pumped it up higher.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah, but that usable meaning that like it's still a dry ride, right? That for me, that's the point at which the water starts to enter the cockpit area. So meaning if you're at that level and you're moving, you're going to get water pushing because of momentum, right? As you're moving, that water's going to push and you'll get some water in and it'll drain out the scuppers behind it. But that is a usable weight capacity. It's not, that minus the weight of the boat.
Got it. All right. Your weight on the kayak just alone, if nothing on it's going to be 75 pounds. Rigged. Yep. Everything, and pedal drive?
No. So to be clear here, so that hull weight, the only reason I publish that hull weight is because we're supposed to do that in the industry, but the reality of that weight is that is the amount of the raw material being used that's being poured in the molds. So anytime you see a kayak brand, for the most part, pretty much everyone, if you see that 62 pounds, that's 62 pounds of raw material resin that's been poured into the mold. That does not include the brass inserts, the screws, the hatches, the fittings, the bungees, the cordage, any of that jazz, your pad eyes. So that's what the rigged weight is the weight of the raw material and all the other pieces that make up the kayak so it's actually usable. Got it. So what happens is if you publish just the honest weight, people are like, why is this boat so heavy? You have to like.
Okay. So the rigged include the seat or no?
Not the seat. The seat adds 11 pounds, 12 pounds.
Got it. So this is basically rigged as everything but the seat and the pedal drive.
Right.
Got it.
That's correct.
All right.
And the pedal drive, because it's sold separately. So this is the weight with how you buy it
Yeah.
and what drive you're putting in. Are you putting in a fin drive? Are you putting in an hour drive? Putting on a
Yeah.
motor?
100%. So a couple things. Well, one question I want to ask, because this doesn't get talked about a whole lot when it comes to, everyone thinks that HDPE, high density polyethylene is the same. It's not. There's
No.
versions, there's different, just like anything else, there's a quality to the type of plastic that you mold your boats with. And so walk us through like
Sure.
what yours is made of, and give us a broad kind of brushstroke of what
So
other companies do.
broad brushstrokes, and I can only speculate. I don't have any like data, and I'm not what anybody else uses. But so and true plastics experts, they can definitely chime in here and help out with explaining a little bit better than I do. You got to remember, like I've been molding plastic for 10 years, but I'm not a rotational molder, right? Like I make kayaks, we design kayaks, and my factory, we've been producing these for a long time, but I'm not the plastics guru. But I can tell you, from my experience, what we've done. Basically, to simplify it, you have a low density polyethylene, linear low density polyethylene, LDPE, MDPE, a medium density, and high density polyethylene. Typically, your polyethylene, like your categories, you're looking at your tensile strength, your elongation strength. Tensile strength is going to be like how well does it deal with impact. Your elongation strength is like how does it bend under pressure? Like is it going to be malleable? Does it want to bend or does it want to crack? What's it going to do under load? And you've got your melting points, your flash points, your different what is it doing with heat? So, and there's different applications for different which you wanted to do. So like even then, like just because you are HDPE or MDPE, you can actually fine tune your material, your resin based on the performance you want, right? Like let's say you're designing product that is going to be getting a lot of impacts all the time. Well, you don't want a high tensile strength, you want a long elongation strength. You want that thing to be able to take a beating and not crack. But if you need rigidity, like in kayaks, sometimes you're going with a stronger tensile strength that will, give it that rigidity and not be as malleable and pliable.
Sure.
So you'll get a lot of LLDPE. And look, this no stranger. It's not news. I've been manufacturing in China for 10 years. It's a whole different topic. But most of what you see on like your Alibaba boats, like those are all going to be LLDPE. Like that's all a linear low density polyethylene. Basically, what your ham containers are made out of. And they have to make them thicker. That's why those boats are like, oh, it's so much thicker. That's how they get the rigidity and the strength out of it, is by increasing the amount of material used. So what we do is that we actually import our material. I can't get the tensile and elongation strength in the native material or resident material that we have available here in China. So I actually import all of my material, which is a true premium performance HDPE. It allows me to shed about 10% of the weight off my hulls compared to like a LDPE or an MDPE.
Okay.
And it gives me just that toughness and that rigidity and that strength that we expect in kayaks and in high-end fishing kayaks.
Man, all right. I like it. And
sorry, I get really nerded out on that stuff.
No, I love it. I love peeling back the onion. That's what this is for. So, I mean, if someone's like interested in watching and purchasing this kayak, it's my hope that they come and watch this video and talk to the person who not only owns the company, but spent years refining his craft. And so thank you for sharing all of it. I do want to talk about a little bit. You've shared about, you've actually rated this yourself when it comes to performance on customization. I think you nailed it there. Stability. You gave yourself lower marks in speed and maneuverability, and it's because if you have stability and you have high marks in others, you can't have high marks. No kayak should have high marks in every single category. If you have high marks in one, you're gonna have low marks in another, just because it's always a trade-off. So walk us through a little bit of the performance and thought.
And you're right. Like it's it's I rated it, right? And how do I make these decisions? Well, because like, let's be fair. Like I just said at the beginning of our call here that, my boats are 35 inches wide. I'm not making your 40-inch wide boats that are 14 feet long, right? Like a 40-inch wide boat or a 45-inch wide boat, depending on the hull shape, should be even more stable than this boat. So what I'm saying is, like, for this class of vessel, this is as stable as you can possibly get with this hull shape in this class of vessel. So then the trade-off, as you mentioned, like, if I'm making a really stable boat, you have to give somewhere, right? Like, so speed, like if I wanted a fast boat, I would give up speed and stability, right? Typically speaking, my maneuverability and my stability would be sacrificed if I made a 27-inch wide boat that was 12 foot 8 inches. That's going to go way faster, because I can cut water better. There's less drag in the water, but you're going to have, you're going to have to be a little bit more of an expert paddler and know how to really ride your secondary stability and know how to use that. And the maneuverability, knock that one down a bit just because it's a big boat, like a 10-foot boat, a short boat is going to turn faster depending on the hull shape, of course. Now, the predecessor to this boat, the boat I made before, was designed primarily for cutting water. Like it wants to slice water. It wants to go straight. This go round, I went with a more bulbous nose on the front in order to make it more maneuverable. So I found that like in tight quarters, like when I'm on like a river, it's just, if I have to make a real fast adjustment, that really sharp keel that I had on it, it was great when I was doing my offshore big water game, but it certainly limited me in a lot of other applications. So I shed that off this time, went with a more rounded front. I ride swells better. And yeah, so it improves the maneuverability, but it still gets what I would say a lower rating just given the length of the boat.
Yeah, 100%. All right, now we're going to rip.
Now, that said, I know we're near the end here, but I was going to say, now that said, if you're using the rudder, we have a massive rudder on here. So definitely, actually, I should probably change the rating. Because if you're using the rudder, the thing turns like, I literally turned a Outpost 128 2 days ago in a boat slip. Like I literally like turned it in a boat slip. So I'm like, actually, that's actually pretty tight now to think about it.
Okay. Yeah. Because oh, go ahead.
But when I'm doing these ratings, I'm thinking about it like, how does the boat perform without the rudders? Like if you're paddling it and using it, on its own. So
yeah, makes sense. All right, now let's rip through some frequently asked questions that people are obviously going to have when it comes to the brass tacks of price and warranties. Okay. And so, when will Cajo Kayaks be available? Did I say that right? Cajo. Dang it!
Like Camino But then the Joe doesn't. Yeah, Cajo.
I'll get it. By the end of this video.
So we are on target for March delivery to our dealers. We have a pretty extensive dealer network that we've worked with in the past, both in the U.S. and both domestic and internationally. So we have plenty of runway. And when I say runway, meaning like, look, you see how much stuff is on these boats. We've been making boats for 10 years. We know the ins and outs. There are new molds, there are new pieces, new parts. There's a big difference between, doing sample testing and actually cranking up the volume where you're dropping like, 1,000 injection molded pieces in a day, like a lock and change. So we have to monitor those tolerances and make sure that, everything fits the way I expect it to fit. Yep. So we have more than enough runway to solve any issues between now and March that we might hit. That said, we're also trying to do an early access, a limited batch early access available this year, hopefully like, middle of December timeframe. But I don't you can't quote me on that. Like, I don't know, right? Like, I don't know what I don't right. know. So like, I don't want to make a promise that I can't hit on. So like, I can promise the March delivery for boats for the actual like mass production, but an early access inventory, shooting for it. But like, if anything doesn't measure up, it's not going out the door.
Yeah. And you're only selling through authorized dealers, correct?
Correct. Probably, possibly. So, I have a pretty big footprint in doing e-com, direct to consumer boats. We are in discussions with a few dealers that do online delivery. So I may not do it this go around. It's really, we'll know that we should know in the next 2 or 3 weeks, actually.
Okay. Can you pre-order a kayak?
Maybe. Possibly. Not at this time.
Probably maybe. Like, calm down there. And I just got my website up Friday. Jeez.
Right. Yeah, no, we get asked that a lot because I've done pre-orders in the past. What people have to understand is like a pre-order is a liability on my books, right? Like I don't want your money in my bank account until the boat's like shipped. So we could do pre-orders, but I just stick your money in a wealth front for a few months, get the 4%, and then you'll be ready for
there you go, and pay off the tax
when our boats are available. And so 2 things. One, if we did pre-order, it would only be if we're doing direct to consumer ourselves, which we were planning on it. But like I said, we're in discussion with certain kayak dealers that might take it over for us. And if that's the case, then I'll let them have it. Like, I'm not greedy. I just want to make boats. So if a dealer is able to service that, then they can have it.
Yeah.
And I don't know that if we do the early access, then it depends. Like, if the dealer is able to take care of it, then he would be the one doing the pre-order, not me. So it really depends on.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'll know the next few weeks.
So what actually comes with a kayak? Because I noticed your pricing structure when we go through the website. You buy a kayak, but just because it's the PDL, you can add accessories, right? You got to build your own adventure.
Yeah, just because like naming the boat Outpost 128 optional PDL was just that was a mouthful. So we had to drop a word. Yeah. Yeah, so the boat comes, as you see in this front picture here, it comes with the Horizon Pro seat, comes with the, I just said it's how it's pictured here. The picture doesn't show the Santa Assist strap. It does come with the Santa Assist strap. It comes with the electronics console. It comes with the liner in the front hatch. You don't have to buy that separately. It comes with the under seat bin. You don't have to buy that separately, and it comes with the liner for the under seat drawer. And it comes with our fatback rudder system, the Traverse fatback rudder system.
Yep.
The configurations you're seeing most frequently are with some various version of a quad rail on it. Quad rails are sold separately.
Yep.
And a Traverse drive is sold separately. And we do have a fin drive adapter kit that's sold separately. You know how it goes. Some people want the fin drive.
Yeah.
If they're fishing a certain grassy conditions, fin drive's the way to go. So we do have an adapter kit for that available.
Yeah. So walk us through. We're landing this plane on the Outpost, which I've actually loved our conversation. Can't believe we're already at an hour and 5 minutes. It's freaking awesome. We're just geeking out over here. But hopefully you are as well.
This is why I stay behind the camera. Like, I'm not usually like on camera. I belong like locked in a lab somewhere.
No, you belong talking about your baby that you love. You're doing a great job. So walk us through the warranty. What's the warranty look like on just all your kayaks? I'm sure it might be different from inflatables versus hard shell.
That's right. It's a lifetime warranty on the hull, 1 year on the parts attached to the hull, 5 years on the Traverse drive. Now, one thing I do want to point out while you had the price up there a minute ago, maybe you were jumping on the price, so I can hold off.
There we go.
We'll get this fixed in the next couple of weeks. My web team is on it because apparently people are missing the Save 300 bundled with Traverse drive disclaimer at the top. So if you scroll up just a little bit, you'll see there's a line there that says, the boat's $29.99, the drive is, $11.99. But if you're buying the drive with the boat, we do take $300 off. So it's $29.99 with the drive. Yeah, so it's $3,000. It's $29.99. It's not $22.99, which is what most people are quoting online, is what I've been seeing.
Yeah.
And the reason, so right now, if you click on Traverse pedal drive, I can see where the confusion's happening. If you click on that Traverse pedal drive option, like go and check that.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Go back and check it.
Yeah, there you go. Now scroll down. Yeah, check it and scroll down. The subtotal that's down below is not it's saying at $32.99. Exactly. So we'll get that fixed in a few weeks so it's easier to see.
Got it. So notify me when available. This is simply being on a list, and whenever you'll be the first to know. So if you're out there and you're watching this in the next month or so, eventually this will go on for a year and everyone will be like, well, I can get it now. It no longer says this. But if you're like, hey, I'm really interested in this, go and click that. You'll get on the email. Anything else we should know, Josh, before we land this plane?
Oh, man. I don't even know what to add. We went through so much on it.
We did. So you can head over to CaminoJourney.com to check out not only the Outpost, but if you're interested in learning about the Terra, is that right? Yep.
Terra.
You can watch that video right
that's
here.
My boat, by the way. That one is I love hybrid vessels. So that thing is, anybody who knows me knows that I've been on hybrid vessels like the last 7 or 8 years. That is my go-to.
This is what's so interesting to me about Camino Journey is you're unlike a lot of kayak companies. You're like, oh, we're going to release one boat, see how it does, and hopefully grow from there. This isn't your first rodeo. You're coming out with 6 new vessels, accessories, seats, paddles. This is like the fleet of kayaks. Right now, we're going to talk about the Terra 116 PDL Pro. And so this is your baby, right? Here she is.
That's my go-to boat. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm a hybrid hull user. I love those low profile hulls. They're just efficient. I don't mind being wet. That's a big thing for me. Is like I don't mind being wet on a kayak. It happens. I'm an offshore guy. I'm going to eat a wave on the way out the door anyway. So for me, what's important is how the water sheds off of a boat. Not like can I keep every drop of water on the outside of the boat, not on the inside. I'm a big game fisherman. I chase stripers, hybrids, stripers, wahoo, king mackerel, tarpon. I like the low profile hauls because it's just a lot easier for me to get a big fish up on deck by just giving a little bit of weight into that secondary stability, and it just slides right up on the deck.
I like it. So walk
Plus
me
the
through.
freedom. Plus the freedom to move around.
No, I like it. This is great. So walk me through. You designed this. You've been in design for a couple years on your entire fleet, and so as from bow to stern, just walk me through the thought process of why you created
Sure.
this kayak.
So it's a little impossible for me to talk about this version of a hybrid haul without talking about like my previous one, right?
Yep.
So for those of you that don't know me, I'm the founder of Vibe Kayaks. I founded it in 2014. I exited early 2023 to focus on a new high-end line of boats. Our mission at Vibe was to really alter the landscape of that mid-range boat. I believe we did it. The mission's complete. They're in good hands, and still definitely taking care of that customer base, that entry and mid-range customer base. And I want to take my energy and experience and focus on the next evolution. So my previous hybrid hull vessel is foam injected. It's got closed cell foam on the inside.
Oh, okay.
We had the craziest idea. This 2016, 2017. We were making coolers at the time, and it was like, can we like foam inject a board? Because like the thing that I hate most is having a flexible deck. Like I don't like having this squishy deck when you're walking around and you're moving around a whole bunch.
Okay.
So for me at the time, injecting with foam was just an ingenious way of not only making a boat have a completely rigid hull design where there's no flex at all, but it's also sink proof, right? That was a big draw on the closed cell foam. So that boat was awesome. Love it to this day. What I did differently this go around is, as we start adding motors and fish finders and wiring, the closed cell foam doesn't work when you're running electronics on a boat.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back to a traditional rotomolded hull, but what we did differently is we have a reinforced plate underneath all this deck padding. So anywhere you see deck padding has like about a 4 millimeter reinforcement plate underneath it. And underneath that is an insane grid structure that creates the rigidity on the deck. Okay. So what I got then was a hybrid SUP style hull fitted like a kayak that still maintains the no flux deck that I love and require. But now I can, plumb it. And I can now run, cables through it. I can run, mount my electronics, my motor on the mount, and so forth. So then, because I was able to do that, now the foam injection, gave me some limitations on like the kind of folds and bends I could do in plastic, because you had to be able to get your pressurized foam into those cavities. So with that foam removed, I could start building in finer detail into this boat. So this one has a transducer mount on it that can't really see it in this shot, but there's a yeah, right there. So there's a transducer scupper, and underneath there's a place for up to a 12-inch transducer. So your triple shot transducers fit right there. Yep, mounts the brass inserts on the bottom, and then you can see it just behind the that lower screen there. There's an access plate that's or a power plate for running a through hole wiring kit inside your hull, just like the traditional kayaks.
Yep.
And it's got the motor mount on the front. So. And you can actually kind of see here in this shot here, you see a little bit of that backing plate that's in that reinforced backing plate. That's that white sheet underneath the deck padding.
Oh, I see it. So it's not the backing plate is not underneath the inside of the kayak. It's actually underneath.
It's exactly. Yeah.
All
so
right.
Just give that rigidity to the surface.
All right. So let's walk through all these photos. I think it's fun because it's fun looking at this. It looks pretty, and it's super clean. And so we just talked about this one. So sorry, here we go. The traverse drive. And so we're going to do a video just on the traverse drive because I want you to take me down the deep, dark rabbit hole. But at a high level, what are we looking at here? Because I know I own a propel drive. It's cast aluminum. It's heavy. We also have on the bottom end of the spectrum, we got a lot of pedal drives hitting the market that are absolute garbage made out of plastic. And I know you like, in all the conversations we had, probably somewhere right in the middle. So walk me through your thought and what this thing's made out of, durability, serviceability, stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, so real fast run through, 10 to 1 gear ratio, pretty stock, pretty standard on PDL drives these days. It's just a good, power torque level on a drive. Um, the big thing for me was trying to find a way of bridging that, the really lightweight. And when I say lightweight, like lightweight doesn't necessarily mean bad quality. Like you've got, your fin drive, your Hobie MD180 is around 8 pounds, and we all know that thing is a killer drive. And then you have your cast aluminum drives, which the big dogs that have been kind of paved the way for your prop drives. Usually a cast aluminum, which will come in the 24, 25 pound range. So I wanted to figure out a way to bridge that gap where we can get the quality of a high end drive, but not have the weight or the sacrifice. Like a plastic gear driven a pedal drive that wobbles and is loud. It's like how do we bridge the two? So what we did is we went with an extruded aluminum shaft, and then our head unit is a a stamped aluminum mold. They're quite expensive, a lot more expensive than a cast aluminum.
Right.
But it allows us to get a much lighter weight drive out of it. Our internals, our guts are still stainless steel and rock solid interior, but the casing itself is what carries that weight with the cast aluminum. So we're able to land our drive at around 13 pounds. So it's not as light as your 8 pound like all plastic drives, but it's not as heavy as your like heavy duty 25 pound cast aluminum drives because you get the same performance.
So I'm looking at this one. You got a nylon upper housing, but you're
Yes.
changing that, right? This is an audible recently pulled. And why did you pull that audible?
Yeah, so so explain that one. We just did this in a video like a little bit ago. So the original version of plan was to like shed a little bit more weight and go with a fiberglass reinforced nylon case. It worked great actually. It's pretty solid. And that was also expensive. Anybody who knows injection molding can imagine how much money went into those molds. But what we found through our cycle testing, we're at around 3 million cycles on it, is under like crazy extreme loads, like around 7 miles per hour. If you did a really hard reverse, it would do a micro expansion in that nylon. It would cause the gear to slip. Now, you can't actually pedal 7 miles per hour, but it is plausible and possible that if you had the right backwind, the right tide, you might be cruising that fast and then have to put on the brakes because you're about to hit an oyster bar or something, and you'll put an equivalent load on the drive. So the fact that it was possible, and it was such a small number. It was like it was around like 1 out of 500,000. I think we had like 6 or 7 failures on it, but I just, I don't know, man. Like I know what it's like to like you think you're safe, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, and like you have to make a quick decision. So we decided to pivot pretty last minute, and we have moved away from the nylon case, the fiberglass nylon case, to the stamped aluminum, and that thing is like a tonnage of pressure on it. Like it's not going anywhere. That thing, we can't break it.
Hold up. So you said you had testing at 3 million cycles. Do you just have a machine that's running this nonstop?
Yeah. Wait, I might even have it under a live feed.
Oh, do you for real? That's awesome.
I might. I'm afraid of my headphones are trying to take over.
Oh, it's all
I'll have to find that. It's it's on a continuous machine, and we have a couple of different cycles on it. So we run it at 30,000 RPM, a 40,000, a 50,000, and a 75,000. And it goes through different time intervals, and it like stops and it goes in reverse. And we try and break. We do the same thing with the seats, like our seats. We've had some questions. I'm kind of jumping around here, but those armrests, like, can it really support, like a 350-pound person? Like, well, man, I tell you, I can support a 500-pound weight press, cycle testing machine going through millions of cycles. We've been dropping like 500 pounds on it for a year, is what it feels like. And I can promise you the first version could not actually support that weight for a long period of time, right? Like it would work. And then after a few months of the pressure, it started to fold in the armrest. So we made adjustments to the tools and the molds and went through some testing and went through more cycle testing until now it just runs and it doesn't break.
How long have you been testing?
Now it's inevitable. About 2, well, I would say realistically, we started designing them around early 2023. I think our first molds were cut like early 2024. So it's been like maybe around spring 2024. So over a year and a half of testing on these molds.
So I got a question for you. So I imagine that's a pretty long runway to get a boat to market.
It
Maybe I'm
is.
wrong. You're doing
Uh,
probably more testing than the average Joe, I'm guessing. Maybe not, and maybe
well,
that's
yeah.
help me out here. Understand kind of like
Why?
it
So
seems
we
like I know why, because you love your craft. You want to make an excellent product that serves a lot of
and
people.
Yeah, and I do understand that, perfection is the enemy of good, right? Like that, you can keep perfecting and refining forever and never actually launch anything. But look, we've all, those of us have been in the industry a long time. You've even seen it with, like, my product, right? Like, 2019, we had like the massive like Shearwater announcement. Then we got hit with COVID and we weren't able to go through quite the test we wanted to in that first gen. We had some issues with it. And like, even though we stamped out those issues within the year, yeah, it plagued us. Like there was
Yeah,
definitely some memories of like, that first generation, yada yada. And we've seen it with just about every first gen boat. Like anything you've seen, like I can't think of a first gen boat that didn't have something go wrong with it. So I have the luxury. It's just a blessing of where I'm at, having made boats for so long and being able to step away and like start a new brand fresh. We're like, I don't have, investors or a bank or somebody who's like pressure me. You've got to release these seeds by this date. Like we'll let the customers be the testing pool. Like, no, we can take our time. We can machine test it. We can cycle test it. We can go through revisions and we can get it to be exactly like, as a hardcore kayak angler myself, like I want to make sure what customers get is what I expect it to be. Like if I were ordering it myself, and it lands on my doorstep. So
yeah.
yeah,
What's a
so we
typical turnaround time when you have all the investors and people breathing down your neck to get kayaks out the door? Like 1 year?
yeah, it depends on the model, the complexity of the model, like 1 or 2 years. And if it's a simple boat, like
Sure.
like a Seagos or something, we can bang on a Seagos in like 6 months. Like those are pretty simple boats. Um, for us, building a whole new like entire lineup of 6 vessels from the ground up, there's like I don't remember these. It's like there's about 300, 350 unique molds, die cuts, tools involved with this. Altogether, there's like a little over 1,000 unique pieces and parts across these 6 boats. So
Wow.
like that is a lot to test, right? You have to make
Yeah.
sure everything fits. And you have to understand rotational molding, like the tolerance level on roto molding is big enough to drive a Mack truck through. Like the variance on it is massive. And when you're putting like a precision injection molding or extruded aluminum parts on it, like, yeah, it's a lot of testing.
Yeah.
I promise you it's not going to fit the first time. So having this many pieces and parts, yeah, we're taking our time and making sure it meets our standards and what we want it to do.
Yeah. And not only that, a brand new pedal drive. That's not the
And a
easiest
brand
thing
new
to
pedal drive.
bring to the market. So
No, no, no. I mean, there's a reason I stayed away from making my own prop drive for years, but I figured this time, like, we got time, let's go for it.
let's go for it. All right, let's keep moving along the Terra here.
All right. Oh yeah, this is the Terra. This is the Terra meeting or Terra call.
All right, we got some quad rails here, and I like this on the side because you just gapped because you have a paddle park in here. It looks like this little crevice, maybe not, but
Actually, that crevice is a water exit,
oh,
right?
is it?
It's all for me.
Okay.
It's all about pushing water off the boat. So we have water guides that run along the perimeter of this vessel. So as you scoop up water, which you're going to do on a
There you go.
hybrid vessel, you need a way for that water to drain and a way for it to exit. So the watershed guides on the perimeter pulls water down, and that helps like shoot it off the side.
But to keep the most rail space, you actually have quad rails, and these things are freaking sweet. So walk me through the thought process, the design process of these guys.
Sure. Our quad rails come in 4 different sizes: 12-inch, 26-inch, 32-inch, and 44-inch.
Okay.
So these should be the 44-inch rails on this boat.
Mm-hmm.
Might be the 32, but I'm pretty sure these are the 44s in this shot. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's a 4-sided quad rail. We've seen these kind of aluminum parts before. Now we have custom molds. Like we actually made our own T-slotted quad rails for a whole host of reasons. That like when we own the tooling, own the molds, it means that we can ensure that our base mounts fit properly and we're not using a stock off the shelf extruded aluminum part. And if that supplier changes something, our mounts might not fit it. Plus, we have on these 44-inch rails, like they have a slight curvature to them to fit a little bit more comfortably on most kayaks.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then we have the keyed slots on all four sides. If you were DIYing it with some stock rails, you'd have to load from the end. But anybody who's been rigging up rails or long runs of gear tracks in the past knows that like I really want this thing over there, and I have to like pull everything off to get this thing down there. So the key slots, and then now this shot is not showing the ruler. We do have a measuring device, both in imperial and metric. Originally, we were only going to put it on the inside, on the cockpit facing side.
Yeah.
But we made a decision this week to go ahead and laser etch both sides of it because I'm like, maybe I'm on the outside of the kayak, like rigging, and I need to measure something. So yeah. Yeah, so it'll have the measuring device on both sides. And yeah, they're bolt on. They're you can see from the mount here in this shot, it's adjustable. So based on your configuration, your boat, you can, makes it a lot easier to custom rig your mount. And like they're a true fixed on rigid install. Like there's no wobble, no play, no latches to pull it off. Like it is locked on. And if you don't have rail, like gear tracks to mount it to, we do include backing plates to mount it through a hull.
Oh, nice. All right. Did not know that. All right, let's keep on moving along. You have a couple seats across your entire fleet. And so
right.
Which one is this and how's it a little different than the other one? Or is this the same one that's on the Outpost?
This is the same exact one that's on the Outpost.
Okay.
Just a cooler shot because it doesn't have, gunnels around it, right? You see the whole seat like all the way down to the deck.
Yeah, 100%. Walk us through and I'm going to go over here to your seats, and then we'll show the recumbent seating and the different angles there.
Sure thing.
There we go. All right, I got it.
Okay. Still waiting for it to load on my end, but I can walk you through it without seeing it just yet. So the Pro seat, it's got two base positions. It has a recumbent low position, and it has a neutral level high position. That neutral level high position is going to be better for your perch application if you're using a perch, or if you're trying to get a level line of sight. The recumbent low is for if you're in a position where you need to like lower your center of gravity, and for better stability. If you're hitting some rough waters, rough conditions, chop, waves, whatever, sitting lower obviously helps. In each of those recumbent lows and the neutral high position, there are 4 individual recumbent positions, which you can see in this photo here. It's loaded now. You can also see it in a video down below. Yeah, that's clever. We can just toggle the pictures. Learn something new every day.
There we go.
Yeah, high five web team. Thank you, guys. Yeah, so the way the seat works is it's spring loaded. It pulls forward, and then it spring loads back into its position, and then there's a post that key it down into a locked position. So it can't if you're hitting shoals and hitting a bumpy ride, it's not going to bounce forward and knock you out of the position.
Got it.
It's a 350-pound weight capacity, and I'm getting my videos cross-wired. We just talked about cycle testing in this video already, I believe. So this it's gone through millions of cycles of weight pressing on it, ensuring that it can take a beating.
It's taking the beating, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it takes the beating. Armrests, just because I'm getting old and lazy, and I need that armrest, especially when the fishing's slow, right? Like it gets to the point where you're like, yeah, it's just nice to be able to do this now, right? Instead of where the fish all day long. And then we have a gear tracks in the armrests. The gear tracks, originally we were doing a horizontal track going along the side, but I found it got in the way of my rigging. Like when I was putting, as you can kind of see in the shot here, our Perches have gear tracks, and we can hit on that in a minute. But when you had that horizontal gear track, the steering handle mount could collide with the rod holders if you had rod holders on your perch. And also like the height, depending on your seating position, like it's nice to be able to lower your steering handle, surprisingly. Yeah. I definitely found applications where like a lower steering handle felt a little bit more comfortable based on what I was doing.
I like it.
So
go
ahead.
Underneath the seat, you have a...
real quick. Yeah, the drawer. But there's something we didn't cover before in the previous video. Our seat base is also built out of the quad rails, so you can actually secure gear to the base itself.
Oh, really? Down here?
Like you
I see
can,
it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like a Yak Attack gear retractor, like the retractor tool retractor.
Oh,
That
yeah,
fits
yeah.
all nicely there, so you can keep your pliers and your fish grips tucked away on the boat. And the seat can be trimmed forward and backwards. With a pedal drive and a fixed location,
Sure.
fixed
You kind
mount,
of need to move
you
back
need
and
to be
forth.
able to move your seat backwards and forwards. And we give a very large, generous amount. So what we've seen before is, and I've ran into it with my own boats in the past, where like, hey, it works great for people from like 5'1" to like 6'2". So we went with a wide range from 4'7" all the way to 6'4". So like,
Okay.
you know, if you're over 6'4", you might start feeling a little cramped in the knees, but fin drive will fix that because you can adjust the leg length there as well. And getting shorter than 4'7", 4'6", like maybe some platform shoes. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, something. Oh, yeah, you're a monster. You might. I love it. I love the riggability of this. We've already talked about the outpost, which is going to be a separate video. So if you're like, hey, I want to learn about these other kayaks at the end, I'll kick you off to the outpost, and I'll also kick you out to the inflatable Airtrek. But underneath the seat storage here, I always love underneath the seat storage. In some of my past kayaks, I've had to DIY my own because the design of the kayak didn't fit like a
Mm.
Craftsman
Couldn't
versus
get like
Stack or
a
something like that. Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you've actually thought through this. And so walk us through kind of what this looks like and your thought process behind it.
Sure. So yeah, like you said, underseat drawers aren't anything new. I made them in the past. This go round, I made them a little bit wider and a little bit deeper, and I got rid of the drawer sliding mechanism. What
Mhm.
I found with the sliding drawer is it limits your range, right? Like, yeah, it can only come out so far, and if it came out further, it would jump the tracks, and it's a pain to get back in, especially in like rough conditions or low light conditions. So this time I just made it completely removable, which we've seen those before. But what I did is I have a ledge on the back that like engages with a bar on the back. So like basically the back of the drawer is L-shaped and it just slides underneath the bar, locks into place, and you have bungees on the front. I want to make sure it's just a really easy application. I don't want to like unscrew anything or unsnap anything. I just want to be
Yeah.
able to quick release, pull it out, drop it back in, and know if I roll my boat, my drawer and gear is going to be there.
I like it. Just
Then it
bungees
has
in there.
yep. Then it has a PVC pouch, zipper pouch on it. You can't see the zipper in that particular shot because of the seat mounting
Come right
bars in
here.
the front there. But
There it is right here.
yeah,
Kind of.
so there's a
All
yeah,
right.
pretty straightforward.
Moving on. Just a paddle park here design to hold your paddle on the
Yep,
side. Yeah.
yep. Paddle park, and yeah, we didn't really talk about the handles. So our handles are it's a man. It's getting a little bit late here.
Yeah,
Actually
we
forgetting
didn't
the
tell
technical
people I'm
term
in
for it, but
Ohio. It's like 10:30. There, it's like pushing midnight. So I appreciate you,
yeah,
Josh, hopping
so
on.
so I'm in pre-production mode here. So I'm actually at the factory. I've been here for like a month and a half already, or so, a month, and I'll be here for another month and a half until we lead into production. And I'm not leaving until everything checks off the way I wanted to check off.
Yeah, I like it.
But yeah, so our handles are double molded. So there's a term for it. I'm tired and I can't remember the word, but it's so the outer casing is again the fiberglass reinforced nylon, and then we have a rubber that's actually molded into it on the inside, so it can't separate. Because in the past I've done like two-part handles where you have a rubber that's its own insert and it's bolted underneath, but
Right.
over time that can crack on the end or it can separate. So this is actually like fused to it. It's bonded together,
So
and
what I'm
they're
looking
like
at
a
here is
fat grip.
this is rubber and there's rubber. The yellow is rubber. That's what you're saying.
Yes, correct. Now it's a little hard to see because it's yellow on yellow
Ah,
here, but the yellow is a rubber that's fused into this mold. So it's not separating, it's not cracking. It is one and the same. And then
decals.
just a
Like the
generous
decals.
fat hand grip. Yeah, exactly. So I just we all know what it's like carrying a very loaded, heavy down kayak, and that helps a lot.
It does. All right, looking at the stern of this kayak here. What's coming to mind? Now, this perch, we didn't talk about the perch a whole lot, but it's my
Oh yeah.
understanding it's removable, correct?
Yep, this go round, the perches are removable. There's four. There's a quick release latch on each of the four posts. You might be able to see it in that shot. Yeah, you kind of see it. There's
Here,
a
yeah.
great latch. You see the right one. Do you see it on the
Oh,
right
right here.
shot there? A little bit better. Yeah, so that pops loose. You pop all four of them, and you can pull your perch off. the legs will fold flat into it. Actually, we didn't talk about this in another video, but part of the reason I made it removable is for the inflatables. Like, it also fits our truck light seat. And when you're packing an inflatable bag, it just
Yeah.
helps to be able to remove that and save that space, because there's a lot of dead space between the seat and the perch.
Got it.
So because we made it removable, then we decided to go and reinforce the entire thing and make sure it's strong enough to be used as a step stool or as a a camping table or something, like a side table or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's got this time I've added gear tracks to all four sides, so just to like continue on with that limitless configuration, limitless rigging opportunity. And so what I like to do with it is mount a Yak Attack Omega rod holder to it.
Mm-hmm.
Use it as a flex mount. It's a little bit quicker to grab, for my quick top water rod. But most importantly, when I go to perch mode, then I have a rod right here with me, and you don't get up in the perch and like, oh shoot, my rod's all the way down there, and I have to like get off the perch and go get it. So
Right on.
I like to have a set of tools for when I'm in that high position.
So for the Terra 116, what size black pack would it fit? Because I know with your type of designs, you'd like to do the performance design. It's got a taper in the back a bit. And so Yak Attack makes
Now,
3 different sizes, 16 by 16. I think it's 13 by 16, 13 by 13. So what will fit?
This one will fit all of them. This will fit the 16 by 16 because this one doesn't have the gunnels. And so what I did on this boat is I made it a little bit shorter than the hybrids that I made in the past, but I made it wider. That's how I made up on that stability.
Got it. So if you already own a Yak Attack, you're like, I don't want to buy another one or buy one I have a 16 by 16. Doesn't matter. It'll all fit. Usually where you get into trouble is the tether tubes on both sides. Is you're like, oh, my Yak Attack crate fixed, but the tether tubes does not because of the gunnels.
Yep. So, well, you can see in this particular shot here, we actually mounted them taller for the outposts.
Oh, I see. You did.
Right?
You went up above.
So, we just went up a little bit on it.
I like it. All right, coming down the backstretch here, you got 2 power plates for any electronics you want to run.
Two plus the hidden one underneath the rudder, right? So this particular shot is showing it without the rudder. So if you're a motor person or running a bow mount motor and you don't need the rudder, you can remove the rudder and you have another micro anchor power pole mount underneath the rudder base.
Okay, right on. 4 gear tracks back here. What else have we got? 3.
Actually, 3 what?
3 mounting options.
Yeah, that's what the third one. This one,
motor, anchor. What are all the things that are going through your mind that people could back here?
I mean, that's exactly it. You can put your power pole left side, right side. If you remove the rudder, you can put it in the center. If you're running a motor on the front, depending on the size of the motor that you're putting on here, I don't make them yet. I'm not sure I will. You can. I'm sure. Like Yak Gadget or some of the third-party companies will make adapters for our configuration on the back for your wide variety of motor applications. But just having more brass inserts into the boat just gives you more meat for your all that torque on a motor that's going on the back there.
Yeah. No, I like it. All right. So that is the Terra. That's your fishing. That's your fishing baby there. Let's walk through.
This is mine.
That's yours, 100%. So real quick, let's head over to the Terra. Let me share my screen again. And that's the stage. There we go. Variety of different colors here. All right, let's roll down here. So let's go some of the specs on this thing. You got 35 inches wide, 11.6 in length. You got a weight capacity of 475. Now, you and I both know weight capacity, it depends on the company, however they want to slice and dice those numbers. So help us understand how Cajo, we got it right this time, didn't I? Cajo, what in the world? I'm literally writing it down as we're going, like phonetically. Cajo.
I mean, Cajo has a nice ring to it, though. I mean,
it does. You're going to get people who, Cajo. I'll try to say it right for the sake of Daren's not the one that screwed it all up from the beginning. But walk us through how Cajo.
Sure. Yeah, so it depends on the maker. Some people's published weights that is like the max while it still stays buoyant enough to like not sink and submerge, meaning that your capacity is the published weight minus the weight of the boat. My capacity that I publish is just the usable weight. I mean, maybe I should, add another line to it, but yeah, it's the usable weight. So the 475 is how much weight cargo you can put on it before the deck starts to take on water, like before it starts to where water can push up the scuppers. Now this boat doesn't really have scuppers. It has the transducer scupper, but meaning that like before water starts coming over the sides.
Got it. So when it comes to performance, you rated this yourself. So walk us through this class of kayak and why you rated it. You don't have to go through every single one of them, but the ones that stand out.
Sure. Yeah. So, and like we explained in a different video, it depends on the class. So I'm saying like for a hybrid hull, like an SUP style kayak, where it has a little bit more that SUP shape, but designed to fit a kayak seat and be paddled with a two-bladed paddle or pedal drive. Mm-hmm. I'm comparing it to those other vessels and also comparing it to like my lineup in general. So as far as like the customizability of this boat compared to say an Outpost, right? Like the Outpost has like the massive electronics console, which is definitely a big one, but and it has the hatch underneath the seat and the front hatch. So you lose like those front, those three hatches: the front storage hatch, the electronics console, the underseat storage. But you gain a lot of deck footprint. So to me, that kind of balanced it out a little bit. Like, okay, I don't have the in-hull storage, but I have a massive rear tank where I can fit the 16 by 16 Yak Tech Black Pack. I have the big front bungee space, and I have actually more built-in gear track space along the gunnels. So it's still quite customizable. And we have the same 3 power plates that run up wiring through the hull. So overall, I think you can do a lot with, customizing this based on your fishing, your conditions, your terrain.
Yeah, 100%.
Stability runs pretty high on this style vessel just by nature of it. HPs are quite stable. Honestly, I probably should call it 100. It just felt a little arrogant or something. So I went with like 90. But I mean, come on, guys. It's an HP hull. Like it doesn't really get any more stable than that. You will lose a little bit of speed on it because it's it's a little wider. Okay, let me rephrase by wide width because it's still 35 inches like the Outpost 128. But what people don't account for when they think about boat speed and boat performance on their kayaks is just because 2 boats are 35 inches wide does not mean they have the same surface area or same amount of drag underneath the on the boat. So if you have a 35-inch wide boat that just has a traditional hull, which there's not really many of those left, but let's say you just had this, and you were to take a string and you hold it from one end, on the parting line of the boat, run it all the way to the other end, measure that gives you your surface drag, right? You take a boat with like a cathedral hull or like a pretty deep tri-hull, and you run that string along the entire and trace all those contours, you'd be surprised. You'd be looking at like a much more, there's a lot more width to it, like take you get the idea. There's tons of cathedrals and tri-hull designs. So this particular boat, even though it's 35 inches wide, like the Outpost, there are support structures underneath that increase the surface drag on the boat. So it slows it down a little bit, but it's what helps give it that stability and that confidence. That it's like glued to the water.
Yeah.
It's really nerdy and really long-winded. I'm sorry. I get really
heck yeah! No, I love this. This is if you know my podcast, I love the science of stuff. I just don't love telling people, "Hey, go do this." I love showing you why. So so you can apply that knowledge across the entire spectrum of kayaks. So
I would definitely say like a big thing to take away from that nerdism right there is whatever the width of the kayak is, that's cute. It doesn't really mean a whole lot. You want to take a piece of string and trace your boat, at its widest point. Look at that surface drag. That'll tell you a lot about how that boat's going to perform. As far as like that won't necessarily tell you about actually, I'll tell you a lot of its stability, speed. Depending on the depth of it, it'll affect the maneuverability.
Yeah, I like it. All right, let's land this plane on the Terra 116 PDL Pro. I got a bunch of these are like lightning questions for you. When will the Cajo kayaks be available? I got it right that time. Finally, only took us 2 hours to get that done in my brain.
So we are completely on track for March delivery to dealers worldwide. We have a pretty robust dealer network in the U.S. and also globally. We have enough runway for any hiccups that might happen. And what hiccups might happen, I have no idea. We've been making boats for 10 years. We have a pretty good idea of, what can go wrong, things that we should look out for. But you got to remember, these are, more than 300 brand new molds, 1,000 new pieces. And there's a big difference between, making, a couple dozen or 3 dozen, prototypes versus cranking up the volume and going mass production. We have to monitor it very closly. So we are shooting for a mid-December early access inventory batch in the US only. Sorry, international friends, but the early access inventory would be for the US only. But if anything doesn't measure up or doesn't hit what we need it to do, then there'll be delays, of course. So like, I don't want to give a promise on a date. It also affects, like, might be one of your questions, but I keep being asked, when are we going to dig pre-orders?
All right, pre-orders.
I don't know.
Yep.
Like, yeah, I want to make sure that we can, that the boats are shipping before we even discuss pre-orders. And the pre-orders may not even go through us; it may go through one of our dealers. So it really depends. We still have time to figure it out, but we are shooting for December 15th. Right now, it feels like we're on track, but don't know. But we're certainly on track for mid-March delivery worldwide.
I like it. Warranty. What's your warranty look like on the Terra?
Lifetime warranty on the hull, 1 year warranty on the parts that are attached to the boat, and 5 years on the Traverse drive if you get the drive with the boat.
Okay.
I mean, if you buy drive, period, you don't have to buy it with the boat, but 5 year on the drive.
Got it. So it's interesting. Lifetime in the hull, and you're located right now. You're overseas getting this thing made, but you're not using the HDPE from. You're actually importing it. Why are you doing that?
That's right. Yeah. So I honestly, I can't get the strength and the material I want from local material, from resident materials. So we actually import our performance HDPE. It has a much higher tensile strength, much better performance. It's basically a very simplified way of putting it is it's basically twice as strong as the LLDPE material that you typically get around here. Like all your Alibaba boats and your imported, kayaks from China are typically always a very malleable LLDPE. That's they have to use a lot of material. The boats are heavy because they have to make them like really thick to try and make up that margin gap between the performance of an HDPE material. So
Got it.
We just straight import, high-end performance material and skip all the local stuff.
No, I like it. All right. One last thing for you here. Let's talk about the price. Always, people want to know how that's kind of structured. So it's a little bit different with Cajo. And so walk us through, and something that might be missed is that bundled $300. Let's talk about that.
Yes. That one gets missed a lot. Our web team is working on making it a little bit clearer. So there is a $300 bundle if you're buying the drive with the boat. So if you go ahead and hit the check box next to that Traverse pedal drive and then scroll down, we can see the subtotal. And here's the confusion: is the subtotal down there? So it'd actually be $26.99 because it's not auto calculating that $300 discount here. If it's added to the cart, it subtracts it there. But I'm going to go ahead and have the web team make it visually, that it does that calculation here. So it's $26.99 with the foot pedal drive. Without the drive, $17.99. Now, some people have asked, well, wait a second, that's quite a bit more expensive than the hybrids you've done in the past. I mean, it is and it isn't. It's really only like a few $100 more, maybe $200 or $300 more. But a lot of the cost is in that Horizon Pro seat and that Traverse rudder system that we do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a massive upgrade, also massive cost to produce that thing. So it's just the nature of the beast, right? If we're making better toys, there's going to be a higher cost.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, Josh, I appreciate your time walking us through the Terra, and man, I've been learning a ton just doing the interview, and I'm excited. I'm excited for this. I'm excited to get in one myself. One, I love pedal drives. Two, I love the science behind it. Three, I love how long you've been testing this thing. You're not going to come out with a janky product. Sounds like you have put hours and years and time and resources into this thing, and I'm excited about the next 6 months when people start getting into this. It's going to be exciting.
I don't want to spill the beans on some things, but I'm excited.
Spill the beans.
Spill. There's no beans to spill. No,
He pulled it back, folks. Pulled it back. He's getting tired over there where he's at right now. He's reeling it back. Trying to wear him down to share some things he wish he wouldn't. But all right, so we have the Terra, but I do want to talk about this guy right here, the Highlander 100, the 120, and
Okay.
the 140T, which I'm assuming stands for Tandem.
That's correct. That is
Got
the
it.
big boy. Definitely don't plan on selling nearly as many of those as the smaller ones, but
Sure.
we heard the demand, so yeah, let's ditch it and go.
Yeah. All right. Walk us through the design on this bad boy.
Yeah. So, inflatable products are nothing new. I'm not here to talk to you about inflatable versus rigid. That kind of content's been done plenty of times, and if you are afraid of a hook going through it, if the internet hasn't convinced you yet that drop stitch PVC is safe, I'm not going to be the one to do it for sure. I can tell you firsthand though, if there is a damaged boat cleat that has a razor sharp edge on it, and you accidentally on a photo shoot maybe a week ago run a 140T into it, yes, you can razor blade through these things when you're throwing it at a damaged cleat. That I learned the hard way. Same thing with that. You do have to watch out for like nails that are up on planks on a dock. That'll catch you. But as far as your ruggedness and uses, there's plenty of videos out there about running cars over it and spinning out with on top of a inflatable. Like they're solid.
Yep.
As far as the overall design though, what I wanted to do differently is just like the ridges, I wanted to make sure this was modular so that you can buy it just as a as a kayak hybrid vessel. If you don't need the fancy pedal drive and rudder system, you can, get into it this way. And if you're like, floating, Crystal River or something and, spotting manatees and don't need the drive, like you can buy it that way,
Right.
and it's not two different vessels. Like, let's say you buy the one and then you change your mind later on, like, oh, I want to, I like being able to be modular.
Got it.
So the boat, when you buy it this way, it has an acrylic window on it. You can
that's
see
what that
through.
is. Okay,
down
that's
below.
why it's shiny.
Yeah.
I was confused. All right. I like it.
Yeah, acrylic window. So there's 6 bolts that mount that on. That comes off. The traverse drive mounting collar can go in its place. You can mount the traverse drive, or the same fin drive adapter that works on the rigid boats works on these boats as well. So if you are a fin drive owner or fin drive user, that works on these boats as well.
All right.
So that would be the starting concept. Yeah.
I like it.
And then feature for feature, we can jump right in here.
Let's do it.
You've got your standard front bungee system, cargo area. Now we do include, I'm calling them Delta clips these days, but if you know my products, it's not the first time I made clips like this. Kind of similar to the Yak Attack Omni hooks. The Omni hooks are a little bit different though. You do have to unstring your bungee with the Omni hooks. Our hooks are a snap-on and they work up to 4mm cord. Like Hobie uses a thicker bungee cord. So ours actually snap on. So if I am rigging this differently, I can snap them off and back on.
Okay.
That's the only real difference. Other than that, a hook's a hook. Next, we have the same Velcro straps that we include on a couple of our rigids. These are for rod stores primarily. So if you have your boat, in the bed of your truck or on a trailer, you can Velcro down gear, and you can run like the butt end and the reels of your combos to the rear bungee system.
Mm-hmm.
Stakeout pole, paddle, whatever. It's just a great convenient way for like traveling with your boat and your gear.
Yeah. What map is this that you have on this?
Finally, somebody asked. I was curious if somebody would ask.
I was like, I was looking at the big picture and I noticed it here more. So
I almost don't want to give it away. Like there are, okay, so each boat has a waterway in the U.S. So we could play like if you can spot it, we can pull this up for each one. And if you figure it out, drop it in the comments.
Oh, there we go. We'll have some fun with it. If you know this waterway, throw that in the comments. We'll leave a little fun little Easter egg. See if anybody can figure that out. All right. I love it. All right. Let's keep going back through feature for feature. Give me 1 second. I got to head back down here. All right. We were here. All right. Can you see that? I know you're lagging a little bit. We are 12 hours apart right now. So I'm surprised the internet's working at all.
Right. So what we have is a gear track base. Now, I don't know if we have a picture without it. We might, but so this is a miniature gear track. So any of your T-bolt tracks fit there. Oh yeah, that one has it. And then it also has the brass insert. So like, let's say you're a power Yak Attack user. it's not the mighty mount. I'm tired. But yeah, they like a Scotty mount, or Yak Attack has a mount that'll fit that as well. That'll
Yep.
it has the Omniport grooves on the side to give it a little bit more support on your like rod holders and gear.
Yep.
So your Scotty mounts, you get it. Classic rectangular gear mount.
Yep. All right, what else we got?
Then next, small change here. We'll update pictures over the next couple of months. The loops there that you see in that shot, you can see it here, how the loops are attached. So the way our the seats have adjustable straps that mount to those stitched mounts.
Yep.
We did switch that to a D-ring. I found the D-ring just to be better performing than these sewn straps. So like we've been testing. I've talked to you a whole bunch of other videos about cycle testing.
Yep.
These straps are getting worn out during our cycle testing, so we have switched that to D-rings instead, like stainless steel D-rings.
All right, so we have talked about cycle testing, not in this video yet. So what cycle testing is going on here? Now, if you've ever been through like IKEA or anything like that, you'll see like they'll have this thing just repeatedly sitting in a chair over and over and over again. And you do that not only for your traverse drive, which we'll get to in a moment, but you do so for your seats. And so what other things get cycle tested on the Highlander?
Yeah. So in this case, with the Highlander, we went with welded seams. There's definitely okay. If you're new to inflatables, you may not know that traditionally there were glued seams in the past.
Okay.
So what had happened was during COVID, during 2020 through 2022, there was a massive increase in consumer purchasing worldwide. It wasn't just the outdoor sporting goods industry that got just people were buying everything under the sun. Like how it goes, right?
Everything. Yep.
Shelves were barren, not because like you couldn't. It's just because like everybody was buying everything. It's like we had like a year or two where like governments told us like don't go anywhere, don't do anything. We had more expendable income than we ever had before, so we just spent it, right? So what happened was there's a glue shortage, basically. The premier glue that was used on inflatables, and a lot of people don't realize that most of your inflatables worldwide are made over here. Even very popular brands that we know of, they're all made here, or across South Asia.
Yep.
But anyway, there's a shortage in glue. So in a scramble to meet the demand, substitutes were used and they didn't hold up. So we went through a season, I can't remember, it's like 2022-ish, 2023, where like, that glue was coming apart. You were having boats that had substandard glue, and it was a major warranty nightmare for a lot of brands. So even though that has been corrected, and that's something that should be known here, is that the standards on PVC glue has been, obviously the world learned about from that one. I just skipping the headache. We just went all welded seams.
All right. So, is it stronger? Is welded stronger than glue? Is that how that works?
Yeah. It's a different process, but yeah, it's absolutely stronger. You don't have to worry about it. It's welded. It's what I mean. Like it's. I don't know. No, I can't think of another word at midnight for. Oh, yeah, they're welded. They're not coming apart. And it's in the cycle testing. Like we cycle test. Like we do 100% QC on all of our inflatables. Every inflatable that comes off the line is pumped up. It is the PSI is checked over a week, and we keep everything inflated. So like it is.
Oh wow! All right.
Yeah. So a welded boat, if there is by any remote chance that there's a gap in the weld, like it'll be caught during that process where like they're pumped up at full 15 PSI and monitored.
You let them sit there for a week.
They sit there in a warehouse
and just do their thing.
And
so when you get it, you know that it's not going to be.
So if you have a micro pinhole, which is really, it's not really a thing with welded PVC, but it would be caught.
You got it. Love it. All right, walk us through the seat here, because this is a different seat, one of the two seats that you have. We talked about the ones on the Terra and Outpost, and those are pretty riggable. Let's put it this way. This is not riggable. Yes. I see you have a track on the side, but it's more simple.
Yep, exactly. So the truck light seat has 3 positions. This would be the high position, and then it has a recumbent position. It has a rear kickstand and a front kickstand. So you can lower the rear kickstand and have it sit in a comfortable recumbent position, or you can lower the front kickstand and have a low position.
Oh, so you
There
can roll
are
these
gear
right here.
tracks.
Okay.
That's correct. Yep. And then there are gear tracks on both sides, primarily for mounting steering handles, if you're, converting it to a pedal boat. But it works just like the Horizon Pro seat. You can put anything on it. If you want a rod holder right there at the ready, you can holster up an Omega rod holder, or you can have your Yak Attack tool retractor, which actually that's one that I definitely put on mine is the Yak Attack tool retractor. Like if you've done any like hybrid vessel fishing, the one downside is it's really easy to kick anything off the deck. So I have sacrificed one too many sets of pliers to the
to the fishing gods,
to the water gods, to the fishing gods, for sure.
Oh, so good. All right, let's go down to the stern of this bad boy. I imagine you could put any size Yak Attack Black Pack Pro in the back and then some.
Now that said, you can. This one will be a little bit tighter if you're putting the rudder on.
Right.
If you're
the 10
doing the football system. Yeah, so you can see here. This is a 13 by 16. So you would add 3 inches to it. So it does still fit, but your rudder's not, especially on this 10-foot boat, even as is, the rudder's going to hit the crate when you put it in the stowed position. That's part of the give on a boat this tiny.
Yep. I like it. And then on the back, you just like your Outpost and just like your Terra, you have 3 different mounting options for do whatever you want, really.
Yep, micro anchor power poles, slam a trolling motor on there, you name it. Now this set of photos, there's actually 2 sets of photos on this page. This would be the photos without the traverse drive, and then the next set of photos shows what it's like rigged up with the traverse drive.
I'm trying to find that. I can't find it. Maybe I'm on the 10-footer. Could it be on the other one?
Yeah, no. If you when you're done going through this slideshow, just scroll down a little bit more. It'll be below the welded seam line.
There we go.
There you go. So now you can see some riggability options.
Got it.
Again, the quad rails, we made sure the quad rails can mount onto this guy as well.
And you got your traverse drive in. Got it. You have your steering on the side that you were talking about, but we didn't show. You can put a fin drive in. Little bungeed for whatever it is there.
This would be so if you're putting on a foot pedal drive, this is the plug that comes with it. So if you are, not using the drive for a particular trip, there's a plug that comes with it that has some bungee stowage on it.
I like it. There you go. Micro power pole on the back, rudder control on the back.
And a question I get asked a lot is hey, does the rudder still have full steering when it's right next to a power pole like that?
Yeah,
well, of course. Yes, that was most certainly mapped out and planned.
Yeah, I like it. And then you have that. I was just looking through the 12-footer, and let's look to the Tandem. Why'd you go with the Tandem?
I don't know, man.
It's not going to be a big seller.
No, it's not a big seller. In fact, my supplier is not the biggest fan of it because I'm not ordering as many of them. But look, it's a high. I would say it's high demand, but we have had demand for tandem inflatable and tandem foot pedal inflatables, and there's just not a whole lot of options in the market. So what the heck? It's available. I really don't have a clever answer for it other than why not?
You got it. All right. That's the Highlander. So let's walk through a variety of questions, of course. We'll just rip through those. So give me 1 second. Let me move the screen.
Oh, actually, you did the map comment challenge. All 3 of these vessels have a different, I would say, semi-well-known waterway in the U.S. I'll give you a clue. They're all in the U.S.
All right.
But all 3 of them have a different waterway.
Okay. I like it. Real quick, for those who are unfamiliar with drop stitch, just give us the paragraph of what drop stitch is and why it. Because I actually wasn't until I got the IETK. I wasn't familiar with drop stitch until I did some research on it. So, learn us.
Drop stitch is really cool, and if you've never seen the inside of a drop stitch, I would stop right now, go to YouTube, and nerd out and research drop stitch. So
don't stop right now. Watch my video first. Then after you watch it,
my mistake. Yes, after this, and after you watch the other videos up here on the links over here, then go do some some drop stitch research. So it's it's PVC that it's threaded. So like basically, if you zoom in on one of the shots, I don't have any like shots of PVC on the drop stitch on the inside, but like one of the close-up shots, you'll see like a little dimples across the deck. Each of those dimples is a series of cordage that connects the top to the bottom. Because what happens with an inflatable, that if it's not like stitched together, hence the drop stitch, it would just inflate, and you would have a malleable inflated object. So drop stitch helps tie them together, and it creates that rigid support. So then as you pump it up, it's putting pressure against itself, creating that really solid surface so that you can take a drop stitch board, lay it on a slope, and walk up it with very little bend on it. If it did not have that stitch, just creating that counter force against itself, then it just inflates and it just folds like any inflatable raft or whatever.
Yeah, that's interesting. I love it. All right, so let's go with some the lightning round of questions here. When will this inflatable be available?
So these will be inflated.
Inflated. It will be inflated. So you guys got to understand. I've been going now for over 2 hours with Josh. It is like midnight there for me. I'm like, oh yeah, it's got a nice. It is 11:18, and I just woke up, so I'm refreshed. You've been going all day and been going all week. You just launched your website last Friday. So all right, sorry. When's it available?
Yeah, so they will be available at dealers worldwide mid-March is the target, around March 15th. Now, exact delivery dates will vary based on location. Yeah. But for the most part, March 15th is the target for dealers globally.
Can people pre-order this?
We are maybe eventually, not today, maybe not tomorrow. Today. So we are working on an early access batch of inventory that we're targeting for mid-December. But what we have to understand is that we have well over 300 new mold, dyes, tools involved in this production. There's over 1,000 unique parts. So that is a lot when you're cranking mass production, right? Like making 2 or 3 dozen perfect samples is one thing. Making 5,000, that's a completely different game. So as we crank up the volume, and when we first start production, by the way, we haven't talked about this in prior videos, but we usually operate around 25% max capacity of our machines and tools for like the first 2 months. Like we're slowly rationing it up until we get to the full production cycle. That allows us to a whole bunch of things. First of all, some of these molds require a certain number of heating and cooling cycles. Otherwise, you'll just crack your mold. You just spend $500,000 a mold. You don't want to crack in the first use. So like you're definitely going to go through heating and cooling cycles. And we ration up the speed, and it also allows us to like study it and make sure that everything's hitting QC standards. And if there's any variances or anything that we need to fix, it gives us time between now and March. We have a generous runway for that. Now, the early December, it's pretty straightforward. There's a 3-month gap between mid-December and say mid-March.
Yep.
That 3 months is our unknown window cushion for anything that needs adjustments or fine tuning. So between now and December, it's hard to promise that we'll have that early access inventory. It's what we're shooting for. Sure. But if an unknown issue happens, it'll just be the March launch or maybe January, February. But that's what we're shooting for. So pre-orders, we have to finish the early access inventory first, sign off on all of it. And when it's, shipping, then we'll discuss pre-orders. But before then, put your money in Wealthfront, let it sit there, cook a little bit, and then we'll be here for you when we're ready.
I like it. What's the warranty look like on your inflatables?
The inflatables are a 2-year warranty on the inflatable, 1 year on all parts attached to it.
Got it. Well, let's walk us through the pricing structure on this real fast, because we didn't talk about the Traverse drive. I'm not going to, because I'm gonna send you at the end of this video to a deep dive on the Traverse drive. But let's walk through. Give me 1 second. I got to bring this up, so people know what they're looking at and they don't miss something that I believe a few people are missing, but you're going to fix.
Yeah.
So it might be something where it's already fixed by the time we get to it. Maybe not, but here we go. All right.
Okay, so which one are we on? We're on the 100. So yep. $899 starting point. And that's the man. Ooh, sorry.
That's without the Traverse drive, right? And the quad rails. You can add what you want and build your own venture here.
Right. So then if you add the Traverse pedal drive kit, it does cost a little bit more than the rigid kits, but that's because it has the mounting collar that goes into that window plug. The other boats already come with the mounting collar and the other fittings, like for the the rudder kit and the steering handle and so forth.
Got it.
So what we're missing here is that there is a $300 discount if the drive is purchased with the boat, at the original time of purchase.
Got it.
So, and I think people are missing that. Like there is a disclaimer there, but the subtotal down below isn't showing it. So we're having our web team, modify that. So it would actually be $19.99 is what it would be with the Traverse pedal drive.
And there we have it. All right, folks, that is Josh Thomas walking us through the Airtrek Highlander 100, 120, and 140 tandem. Josh, I appreciate you and what you bring into the market. Let's specifically talk about the new Traverse drive. Let me bring that up on the screen here. There it is. So I love a pedal drive, and we both know that you have the gamut, right? Some are made out of cast aluminum, some are made out of plastic, and you got everything in between. Some are really heavy, some are really light. And so why did you bring a new pedal drive to market?
Yeah, so and only partially, right? Because you have prop drives and you have fin drives.
Sure.
And I've done the fin drive before, but we all know where the fin drive came from. And honestly, like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So like I don't want to make it again. Not saying I won't ever make it again, but like, I have no interest in making a fin drive again. What I am interested in is giving my customers the options of paddling a vessel, dropping in a prop drive, dropping in a fin drive, motorizing it, right? So we make our boats very modular. So for us, it was very important to tailor our pedal drive around the modularity that we wanted our boats to be able to have. So definitely, your classic, there's nothing new. Well, like that's not true. There are definitely some new features on our drive, but the core basis of what makes a prop drive, they're typically all, mostly 10-to-1 gear ratio with the size of the propeller. They are instant reverse, right? That's a big plus. You don't have to pull a tab for it. But there's trade-offs, right? The fins obviously work great in shallow water over, especially a lot of vegetation. If you're going through hydrilla or over grass, fins definitely, outperform. So just having the option of switching back and forth. So for us, it was important to build a drive that fits the modular needs that we were trying to accomplish here.
100%. So walk us through, because right now I believe I'm looking at a Traverse drive that has that's not stamped like it is now. So you made some audibles recently. So walk us through what that change was and why.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because we've actually covered this a little bit in some prior videos.
Yep.
And I think my answers are getting shorter and shorter. So if I miss a detail here, remind me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first iteration, our strategy was like we were trying to build a lighter drive without going all plastic, right? Like when you do like an all plastic drive that has plastic gears, plastic housing, plastic everything to it. Yes, you get a lightweight drive, but you get a lot of noise and you get a shorter lifespan of the drive. So what we wanted to do was kind of meet in the middle between like a lightweight drive and like your heavy duty hardcore work truck cast aluminum drives. Your cast aluminum drives typically land in like a 25-pound range, and then your low end drives will land in like an 8-pound range. So in order to like help shed some of that weight, because I'm an ounce counter, like I'm going offshore, I'm pushing miles, and I definitely try and pay attention to like the load on my vessel. So we got our drive down to about 12.5 pounds. This particular version in these shots are around 12.5 pounds. This was using a very heavy-duty fiberglass reinforced nylon casing over top of an extruded aluminum shaft and a stamped aluminum blade on the bottom.
Okay.
So what we found when we do cycle testing, so we send all of our like mechanical objects and parts. They go through quite an extensive cycle testing round. So we had about 3 million impressions on the Traverse drive. And what we found was in a very extreme situation, like pushing 7 miles per hour, which we've covered before, is not physically possible. You can't pedal one of these vessels at 7 miles per hour. But it is possible with the right wind condition, the right tides, the right currents, where your vessel is being pushed at that speed, combination of you and Mother Nature. And if you have to make an instant reverse and hit the brakes like really fast, we were getting a slight micro expansion in that case. And when I say it was about 1 out of 500,000. So we had like 6 or 7 fails on it where it stripped the gears, it jumped the gears. And for me, like I've been in some crazy dicey extreme situations, and it wasn't good enough. So we decided to make a last minute pivot and move away from the nylon, because it was because of the nylon. Like no matter how much fiberglass you put in it, it was still having
Expand, right?
such a micro expansion. So we switched. We decided to spend the money and cut a stamped aluminum mold, which is quite a bit more expensive.
Sounds expensive, especially after you just had the sunk cost in creating the other mold.
Yeah, actually, there's definitely some duplication of expenses on this drive for sure. But the cast aluminum, the reason a lot of people go with the cast aluminum, it's robust, it's strong, it's heavy duty, but it's also way cheaper to produce. Like a cast aluminum mold is like, it's a fraction of the cost of a stamped aluminum casing. So anyway, we went with a stamped aluminum casing. That one passed all inspections. It is bomb proof. It is absolutely gears don't strip. It is rock solid. Yeah, so we just we have now
literally have machines going for a long period of time that are running these over and over 3 million times.
Yeah,
so
So we're running at 30,000 RPM, 40,000, 50, and I think the extreme one was like 75,000. But we do like an instant reverse in it as well to see how that goes, and that's where we're seeing that expansion was on the really extreme cases.
That's awesome. I love it. So on the top of this, that I see 2 mounts. There's a quarter 20. What's the other one?
So there's 2 mounts. So yeah, let's zoom in there. It's taking a little bit of time to load on my end. Let me pop it up. There it is. Okay, so one of them is a camera mount because, if it's on a film, did it actually count? Like, did you really catch it?
Yeah.
Exactly, right? Otherwise, it's just another fisherman's tail, And so there's a camera mount there. And then the other one is a lubrication port. So you can so it's for servicing. And if you need to pull the entire drive apart, I believe the head unit is 6 bolts off the top of my head. It might be 7 now with the aluminum case. I don't quite remember. But yeah, it's really easy to get inside and service it, but you can lube it from right there on the top. And then you're also seeing here a rod stager groove. Simple design. I feel a little blessed that I'm the first one that thought of it in the in the manufacturing space here.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah. So yeah, you're on a pedal drive, whether you're fin or prop. We all know what it's like when you're trying to go somewhere. You're on the move, but you want to put a rod down and answer a phone call or dig through a tackle box or something, and you got fish busting top water nearby. You want to be have a rod at the ready for if there's a boil or something or some bait starts popping. Well, you can just drop it right here between your legs while you're pedaling, and good to go.
I like it. So I would imagine that on upper assembly, we just got to talk about that. Lower assembly, you essentially take out the Allen screw. You got a shear pin in there. I imagine you can take out the lower assembly. You can grease it that way. And tell me how, we didn't talk about this in any of the other videos. It just goes up and down, correct? So walk us through the workings.
It goes up, down, and full lean here. So what we have here is and it's a little hard to tell in these shots, and I don't remember the diameter right off the top of my head. I really should know this, but there's so many pieces here. I can't remember. Yeah, so there's a really heavy duty cotter pin there. Those pins are what you pull to actually pull the drive out completely. But there's latches on the front, so it'll lean and stay in that stowed position, or you can actually push the latches in the front and it'll lay completely flat forward as well. Like this is a very convenient position if you're trying to pull some line or pull some grass off your prop, or if you're doing some flat water fishing. But if you're going through any kind of like chop or going through the surf, you're going to want to lay that flat. It just makes it a lot stronger in case you roll or hit something, like have a violent, outing. So it'll lay completely flat as well.
What's the warranty look like on this Traverse drive?
5 years on the drive.
Okay. And how easy, some of the issues, how easy is it going to be able to get parts and stuff for this? It is a machine, right? Things happen, people drop them. There's all kinds of things that could possibly happen.
So I'm no stranger to dealing with parts. So the last 10 years, we learned the hard way early on, like the importance of you have to have, replacement parts for every little piece. We definitely, those of us who are familiar with the customer service that I had, at Vibe, we were definitely pretty good about parts replacement. We've actually partnered with a new 3PL. So we actually have every part available for replacement. So please don't bombard my customer service team if you need to replace the most obscure, smallest little thing, but it is all absolutely replaceable. We have it all. Our target delivery time is about 2 weeks on replacement parts. It's a different warehousing system from our consumer goods, which usually get delivered within a week. But we should be able to service most parts within like 2 to 3 weeks tops. We should be able to service any part that needs to be serviced on our boats.
Okay. So this Traverse pedal drive, and with the new fleet of kayaks you have, the Outpost in 2 different lengths, the Terra in 1, the Airtrek in 3. Is that right? I get that right? Yep. Total 6.
Yes.
This is an add-on, right? So walk
Yes.
everyone through your thought process. Like for the Airtrek, I know you have if you don't want the Traverse drive, you can put a acrylic. You can see through it. I don't know if it's acrylic, but a see-through plate on the other two. You actually can, I'll let you explain it. It's your product, but nonetheless, you can make it so water doesn't come popping up through there. You got splash guards on the underside of some of these kayaks. So walk us through kind of your thought process there.
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure everything was modular, so that if you're a river rat and you don't need drives because you're hitting shoals, every 500 yards, you don't need a drive at all. The boat works in that application, that space. If you want fin drives, there's a fin drive adapter. If you want the Traverse drive, if you're a motor person, everything is very modular. And we did our best to simplify the ordering process as much as possible, but certainly some additional explanation helps. Actually, if you go to the shop tab, if you go to shop and then Traverse drive.
There we go.
Okay, so first of all the boats are sold without the drive. Now, if you add the Traverse drive at the time of purchase, there's a $300 bundle per drive. So, for example, if you're doing the Highlander 140T with 2 drives, it'd be a $600 savings if you're buying 2 drives at the time you're buying the boat.
The Highlander, by the way, if you haven't watched those videos, is the Tandem drive. And so that's the inflatable Tandem. We got a video on that too. You can go check out. Anyways, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no problem. So there's a couple of different kits. So the Traverse drive, the first listing right there, the one that's $11.99, that's the drive by itself. And that's all you need for the rigid boats. The boats all come already with the mounting collar, the mounting plug, the fatback rudder system, the Traverse steering handle, all of it's ready. So all you have to do is drop in the drive. Good to go.
This is where it lays flat and you can kind of see the
there you go.
The workings of it. Yep. All right. I like it. What's this band around this over here? I've noticed that and I didn't ask that question yet. You have this yellow band.
Just a bump guard. Just a bump guard on the front. Yeah, helps take a little bit of that load if you have a pretty heavy hit.
I like it. All right. So this is number 1. Let's go ahead and
actually something that you can't see here, but you might be able to see it in some of the videos. Another thing we did with our Traverse drive, one of the problems with propeller drives is removing the drive, right? Like you have to line up the propeller to get it to hit right. Unless you have, there are a couple of brands that have solutions for it, but for the most part, most pedal drives out there don't have a clean options. You end up with like prop jam, and you have to like line it up correctly. And if you're rolling into the boat ramp or rolling into an oyster bar or something, like that's not always the fastest and easiest thing to do. So we actually have a prop lock on the side. There's a little latch that you turn, that then when you crank turn the cranks into the vertical position, it'll lock and key into place, and it locks the propeller perfectly vertical.
It's like an indexer.
Exactly.
You can index your prop up and down. Yep. Some have those, but you have as well. All right, good. I'm glad you do. Because it's pain in the butt, and especially a pain in the butt if you have to start putting your hand down in 45-degree water where I fish here in Ohio and try to get that prop lined up, or sit there for a minute just kind of guessing when it's lined up and vertically so you can get it up out of the hole in the kayak. So all right, I like it. We didn't talk about that. You're right. So that's the Traverse pedal drive. It's going to fit with all your rigid kayaks. But then you have your Traverse pedal drive kit for the Highlander, which is your inflatable version. So walk us through why that's
so this one's going to cost a little bit more because this one comes with the rudder kit, the steering handle, and the mounting collar, which already comes on the rigid boats.
Got it.
And then the Highlander Tandem add-on, this one's a little bit different because you can't run 2 rudders on the same kayak. So this one would be just the drive and the mounting collar to add on to the Tandem package.
Got it. So this is why these are all different prices. In case you're wondering, that is why. And folks, I think that is the Traverse Drive. Anything else we're missing, Josh?
Probably. It's
Probably,
also
but it's late.
pretty late.
We're on 3 hours of video shoot time. So, but if you have any questions, throw those in the comment section below. And just to let you know, this Traverse Drive fits the Outpost, the Terra, the Airtrek that we just kind of all just briefly went over. And if you're interested in any of those videos, if you're like, hey, I like the Traverse Drive. I'm interested in your rigid Outpost or your Terra. I'm interested in your inflatable Airtrek Highlander. I am just going to put them in a playlist. And you can check out that entire playlist right there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching. And please type in any comments, any questions that you have. If I don't know the answers to those, I'll reach out to Josh myself and get those answered in the comments. But Josh, thank you so much, brother. I know you're hopping on a plane tomorrow.
Absolutely.
To bounce around some of your other businesses, but we're grateful for you. Appreciate your time. Appreciate what you're bringing to the market. Look forward to getting my hands on one myself here in
Working on it.
2026. We'll see what happens.
Working
I know there'll be someday that I'll get my hands on it, but thank you so much, Josh. You have a good one, brother.